Alright, everyone, welcome along to another episode of Martin's World. Guys, if you don't already know, well, you can support the show and you can also support the fight for cannabis legalisation in Ireland by signing up to the patreon.com/Martin's World. You can also make donations in the form of Bitcoin following the link there on martinsworld.ie. And all of the funds that will be generated there will be used to set up and run a cannabis activist hub to bring together cannabis activists so we can not only socialise but educate and organise ourselves so we can better fight for cannabis legalisation in Ireland. So on we go with the show, guys. Today's interview is with the High on Homegrown podcast panel members. There's a team of four of the guys there, Mackie, Temple Grower, Greenbeard and Monkey. And they joined me for what was a very enjoyable conversation. We chatted about quite a bit of things. We got nice and high in the process too. So yeah, I enjoyed it. But the High End Homegrown is a podcast of for stoners, and it's all panel members are themselves high on homegrown. They all grow and smoke their own cannabis. Five people from around the world coming together every week to get high and talk about weed. They don't just bring information but entertainment too. They are all good friends and they really enjoy making the show, and they look forward to making a new episode every week. And their show is live every Sunday on YouTube, I believe around 10 p.m. Ireland time, Irish time. So do check that out. They also have a forum, a grow forum called Percys Grow Room. So go over and check that out too. A really good grow room with all the information you could possibly need for growing cannabis at your fingertips. So the team is made up of Mackie, who's a cocoa grower from the UK and a founder of Percys Grow Room and host of the High on Homegrown podcast. Grows weed because he loves it as a hobby and he enjoys helping others learn how to grow their own. Believes we live in a simulated reality, and he loves loves to talk about that simulated reality. Doesn't believe you can prove him wrong that we live in a simulation. Temple Grower then is an organic living soil grower from Canada, and Temple Grower is a legal medicinal cannabis grower. He brings a lot of good knowledge about organic growing to the panel, and also a sour tone of sarcasm and rage, easily raged by injustice. Sounds a bit like myself, man. And then we have Greenbeard then is the Irish panel member who grows his own cannabis and cocoa to help relieve the pain caused by arthritis. Greenbeard brings a good amount of humour and banter and is never too shy to talk about anything and loves big dogs. And do check out Greenbeard's Instagram there as well if you want to see those dogs. And you have Monkey then. Monkey is also a cocoa grower, and he's from the southern USA and has been grown for many things, not just cannabis. Monkey brings a wide range of horticulture knowledge to the show and is the voice of reason behind many of our tangents. Always happy to answer any question. And then one other panel member who didn't join us on the conversation was Zombie Nation. And Zombie Nation says here is quietly mumbling sarcasm and dark humour. And we have Zombie Nation, a soil grower from the UK. Zombie Nation has many years experiencing in growing and grow room setup. He is the guy to go to for information on electricals and equipment. Easily irritated, usually tired, and very grouchy unless intravenously served coffee. So there you have it. That's the High End Homegrown podcast panel. Definitely go check out their podcast, and if you aren't already a member of their Grow Forum, go sign up now. So guys, without any further ado, I give you the High on Homegrown podcast panel.
Guys, thanks very much for joining me on an episode of Martin's World. So I'm delighted to have the team from Percys Grow Room joining me here. So who would like to do the honours and just tell the good folks out there on what Percys Grow Room is?
Well, GB brought us here as guests on his behalf. So GB, you want to take it away, man?
Yeah, what Percys Grow Room is basically a forum for growers. We grow cannabis. Mackie will be much better at this shit
you're not
than
very
I
good
would.
at that spiel shit. Percys Grow Room is a cannabis growers forum and website.
No, but honestly,
go to the front page and read it to him real quick.
Well, honestly, we are a community from across the world. we are a sound bunch of guys and girls. There is no, I don't think, in all the time that I've been there, I don't think there has been an argument, even, or a fucking. Like
Everybody's chilled because they
everyone is
grow
chilled.
lots of
Yeah,
their own good
Nice and tight in the
cannabis.
community.
Everybody
Yeah.
is there for
Yeah.
the same reason.
When did it come about? When did it start off? How did it start off?
Mackie is the boss man, as we say.
There's a long story behind it. I was part of another cannabis growers forum before I made Percys Grow Room, and that forum wasn't ran very well. The owners weren't around very much, and there wasn't a lot of reinvestment back into the site. And you have to support the community that sorts your website, in my opinion. So a few of us guys over at the old forum, we decided we should make a lifeboat in case that website goes down. We got another one to move to. And then a few months after that, they was like, oh no, we don't want to do that anymore. And then I'm left with this fucking thing, which I got no idea what to do with, this percysgrowroom.com. And so I started to build it on my own, just write posts, start getting a forum built and things like that. And then about 6 months after I started building the site, I was banned from the old forum, which I'd been a member of for 7 years and was a big part of the community. I was banned over there for poaching members, right? And all I did was ask, because I was cracking over the Christmas time and over the start of January. So much work goes on. I'm sure you know, mate, it takes a lot of work. And when you're initially setting up the site and when you've got no idea what's going on, it's stressful. So I asked just three friends, let me do that in the quotation marks, and ZN was one of them, to come out and give me a hand in setting up this lifeboat, which was initially for the members of that site to move over if that site went tits up. So we started building Percys. I was banned for poaching members, and that fucking raged me. Just the injustice of it, because I was only here and all the admin knew about what I was doing. It's not like I was cloak and dagger about anything. And I was just banned for it, just gone.
It's good to keep these things kind of decentralized like that, and for the members, the community to be looking out for itself. You said it was these forums kind of come and go at times, especially in the past there, a good couple of years back. I think I started out on Roll It Up, was the forum I started out on when I kind of was learning to grow. There was a very good Irish growers thread on there that still exists today, actually.
There's a lot of good forums out there.
There is. I'm sorry I didn't go to Percys Grow Room, because after exploring it, actually, when I first found it, when I first met you, I was kind of blown away what's up there. It's a very good, very useful.
We've got a real nice vibe, man, because it's all about community at Percys Grow Room. It's all about helping each other. It doesn't matter what level grower you are, whether you're experienced or whether you just new. You still have a place at Percys Grow Room, whether it's to help people learn new things yourself, or completely learn from the beginning on how to grow. We never ever, and this is a big difference with Percys Grow Room. We don't put anybody down if they've got. Nobody wants to have a fucking sick cannabis plant. Nobody gives their plant nitrogen deficiency on purpose. And you see on Facebook, for example, people are like, "Oh, why ain't you done this, man? You should know better." And it's like, he ain't gonna know better. She ain't gonna know better. They've only just started out, and they need somebody to guide them along the way. And people forget what it's like to be a new grower. And at Percys Grow Room, we just constantly remember that.
And
don't forget what it's like to be new.
Yeah, no question is a stupid question, and it doesn't matter if you're asked the same question once.
The only stupid question is the one you don't ask.
Exactly. Like we've all been asked the same newbie questions 101 times, but you're helping somebody. It's somebody who's starting out fresh, and for me, it brings, if somebody asked me now, I would still class myself as a novice grower. Purely because I grew a long time ago and I stopped, and I only really got back into growing again in the last year and a half, year and a half or so. And I was on another forum, Grass City, I think it is.
Grass City is another big one,
and that was good, but I was asking questions because it had been nearly 15 years since I had grown a plant. Big differences. Like it was fucking tomato food. is what we were fucking feeding
tomorrow,
to the
right?
plants, you know? Yeah, fucking Miracle Grow, what you were called.
Autos wasn't even around back then.
No, man, and you're looking kind like fucking, oh, it's grows so well when you give it a little bit of this stuff, and you just thought you were the bee's knees. But I went on, and they just weren't doing well. You know, they were fucking sick. They were horrid looking all the time, and I was asking questions, and I was getting the most stupid. Well, like, you're doing something wrong. I go, well, I know I'm doing something wrong. Like, can you tell me what am I doing? And I'd write the whole spiel of everything from what the environment was, even down to fucking the temperatures outside, inside, the air temps going into it, the air temperatures coming out, fucking the whole works, and nobody was able to give me any help. I went on to Percy's Grow Room. I asked a question. Mackie turned around and said, have you got a humidity dome over? Just put a plastic cup over. That will sort them out.
That's another thing, man. That's another thing. We keep things fucking simple. We're not here to help people grow professionally or start fucking grow university. We're all hobby growers, and we do it well. It's not like we shit at it, but we don't take things too fucking seriously, man. We try and enjoy this as we're doing it. It's not too sciencey. If you enjoy the science thing, that's cool. Do your science thing. Everybody's free to do their own thing at Percy's.
I love your current competition. The random pot you can grow in, and
the unconventional grow.
Oh my gosh! Yeah, there's some good ones going on in there.
I actually have Priscilla. That's what I call all of my plants. They get a name, and they go alphabetically. Yeah. Unfortunately, I had to jump because I grew mine in a cock pump. Because I was sitting when we were
just had one lying around, you know. You had a spare one.
I actually have the video.
I want here.
I have the video of when it came in the fucking door, and my husband is on the other side of the table, and he's like, what the fuck is it? Is that a cock pump? That's all you hear from the other side of the video too. So
DB, what do you have in mind with that?
You know? And that's where he was like, he goes, what the fuck are you planning with that? And I was like, well, I'm growing a fucking ganji plant in it. Like. But you see, it came to me from Van Wilder. I was watching Van Wilder that night, and fucking your man was sitting smoking, thinking he was smoking a bong, but he wasn't. He was smoking fucking your man's fucking cock pump, and he turned it. Not a
light bulb.
My slung. And it was just. It went. We were talking about an unconventional grow. Who is ever going to match that? Is what.
Very unconventional.
Yeah, and there was so many of them that went in that, like, Monkey grew a fucking epic specimen in a remote control for was it for an aeroplane or a boat?
It's one of those little cheap toy quads. I just basically gutted it and filled it with cocoa, and I grew an auto with it. Why not?
Looks badass. A ganja plant for the aerial, you know, for the antenna.
Really. Keep it light. I mean, so what we do at Percy's. We want to have a good time. We don't take it too seriously. We want to grow good weed, but man, it's a pay it forward community. I mean, that's what we do.
For sure.
Yeah, well, that's it. You have to look out for one another. That's kind of what the community is all about. If it's not a good vibe, I see a common occurrence with people to just rip on a person because they might ask a question that's been asked before. Like,
you know,
just like, I just hate seeing that. Like, just lay off the guy. All right.
You know, and a lot of new people are getting into it as well now because it's been legalized all over the world. So a lot of new people are coming into the game. You can't expect these people to have 10 years of knowledge like you have, you know?
Yeah, well, we've a mix of people here actually. So this evening, Mackie, you're in Canada, is that right?
No, I'm in the UK, I am.
You're in UK, sorry.
Yeah, I just have an accent to throw people off.
That's a Canadian accent, Mackie? I have no idea.
This is what my Canadian accent is about.
Hey, the original
How do I do it, TG?
white Canadians. I'm Canadian, yeah. How's it going, eh? See?
Hey.
It's going in Canada, eh?
I'm not your buddy guy.
Not your buddy guy. Not your guy, friend.
I'm not your guy, friend.
Yeah.
So what's the crack in Canada? So you can go away now. 4 plants, 3 plants.
4 plants, yeah. Every Canadian can grow 4 plants in their domicile. But I mean, it's not per person. If you have 2 people in the same house, it's still only 4 plants per house.
Only 4, that's right, yeah.
And
what's the crack there? Is that including vegging or is that only flowering?
Yeah, that's regardless if they're just popped out of the soil or got, 24 ounces of bud because you scrogged it, doesn't matter. A plant is a plant in their eyes. I assume. I mean, I've never really heard too much in terms of enforcement on that. But yeah, I would assume like that's what the regulations say. So yeah, plant is a plant is a plant.
Yeah, well, I suppose it's just better than an outright not allowed grow 'em anyway. It's for sure. But it'd be interesting, all right, if you were able to just have as many in a vegetative state, kind of just waiting to flick into flower, like, because it's stronger in flower that the the real value is. But let's say if you were a person who wanted to juice them, and you wanted to have like a load of micro greens, and done that with hemp, cannabis, and you were doing it with proper strains, and say you were getting a microgreen there that had I don't know. I'd be interested actually if there was any studies done looking at microgreens. Now that I think of it, that's just mental note for myself to do later.
I don't know.
I think when it comes to growing like that, it shouldn't be down to plant numbers. It should be down to floor space. It's only, you can grow fucking 30 plants in a 1.2 meter grow tent. It'll be a tight squeeze, screen of green them, and sea of green them.
Sea of green, yeah.
And you're only getting the same as what you'd get off 4 plants.
Yeah.
Why put the limit on it though? Like, it's just so strange that we do it with this. It's always with the cannabis. Like, we're so quick to regulate ourselves.
I can see kind of, in a sense, why they would put a limit and say you can grow 4 plants or you can grow 6 plants. Because if you could grow 20 plants or 30 plants, and if you were going to be sitting there and you turn around to your fucking side cabinet and you have fucking 5 pounds of weed sitting there, there is a big incentive for a lot of people to go, I can make a lot of money off that on the illicit market if I want to. And that's where it's the illicit trade is what counteracts us all the time, but it's also what unfortunately feeds us as well at the same time.
It's not our fault that it's an illicit market at the end of the day.
It's not ours. No, Jesus.
We don't want it like this.
No. But you see, it's again with the laws. We have a good perspective on Percys of thing because we have growers in illegal countries, we have growers in legal countries, we have growers that are in kind of the in-between countries, like the UK at the minute. I would class is an in-between country. In parts of it you can grow, in other parts you can't.
When you say legalized too, Canada, like, this is the nuanced kind of thought that is kind of getting thrown around now. Canada has it's legal here, like I can possess it, but there's so many restrictions on how I can possess it, where I can possess it, where I can use it, that legal probably isn't the right word, and more of just they've
regulated.
Yeah, they've regulated. They've almost just allowed us some exceptions to. But legalization to me is like Martin was saying, like with the plant limit, the 4 plant limit is arbitrary to me. I mean, I get that there would be, some diversion, because that's been always the argument, and there has been that in the past. But I would say, theoretically, just my perspective, if you did allow people to grow as many as they want, like, that would maybe even saturate the market so much that the black market would almost defeat itself, kind of thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's a model almost. There.
Like, just hypothetically, I could grow as much as I want. I'd be giving this stuff away. I would absolutely give it away because I know that, and don't get me wrong, there is good quality stuff in the legal market, but most of it's really expensive and not always available. So my thought would be that I could provide, a better quality alternative, so then people wouldn't have to pay for something they would be already, as well as providing medicine and all that kind of aspect. But currently, we're not allowed to do that. Like, I can only gift up to 30 grams at a time to a person, another Canadian, right? But there's a lot of limits on everything that we're allowed to do. And even as a medical patient, I'm almost more illegal now compared to prior to legalization in terms of what I can do and where I can use my medicine and things like this. So.
See, it's sort of falls into it. Like, everyone kind of thinks, "Oh, this is a great thing," but it's we have to be careful. Like, this is my big idea in Ireland. Like, is legalization is coming, and what we've seen in Canada is the community wasn't really represented, and I'm not too sure why that was in Canada, because I know there was
money.
Yeah, money. Yeah. Well, there you go. I didn't really want to say that. Like, but
Well,
you're right.
we'll say it. Everybody should say it.
We say it all the time. It is pure down to the money. It's
Capitalism.
especially especially Martin. You know yourself, like over here in Ireland, you know, they just won't entertain. No, none of the media, none of the fucking politicians, nobody in any power or thing will entertain or even push for proper, even a proper medicinal system that we have. Like, you know, look at Kenny down there. He's another podcast here in Ireland, Mackie and lads. It's the
Kenny
cannabis, the cannabis patient podcast.
Yeah.
He's had to. He was on this. Martin, you would know more about it, I think.
He only just announced today that his tumor has shrunk even more, so he's going to be
fantastic.
even longer. Yeah, you know, so the treatment is doing good. But he was only saying it there recently. He's not going to renew his license for the medical cannabis here in Ireland because it's just cheaper to get it on the black market. It's less hassle for him. So he's going the black market route now. I don't know, is he connecting with a grower? Or is he going growing himself? I'm going to have him on the podcast soon enough, actually, to catch up with him. But that's kind of where he's at now. His tumor shrinking, but I don't think he's renewing his license for medical cannabis in Ireland because the system is a joke here.
It's a farce. Yeah, like we have to go, isn't it? We have to go to Brussels. If you are a patient here, you have to fly to Brussels. At the minute with COVID, I think they're couriering it in for them, but they still have to go, I think, to Dublin to pick it up.
Yeah, that's no. Well, they have to get the courier drops it to the front door. It's DHL who are dropping it as well.
Well, like, DHL are top of the game anyway. I know that they're good.
The thing is that all along they were saying to the likes of Vera and the other parents who were traveling to get it for their kids, and the patients who were traveling to get it for themselves, that there was an issue on the Dutch side. That's why the Dutch couldn't ship it out. At least Vera was on 96 FM there this morning, a local radio station, and she was kind of saying that was the excuse being given to her all along as to why it couldn't be delivered here. And then all of a sudden this COVID thing came, that problem went away, and it was able to be couriered over here now to save them having to travel, which was good at the time. Her fight now is to get that delivery continued, and so that's kind of where we're at really now in Ireland. Apparently our Taoiseach was actually on the phone this morning with Vera Twomey, reassuring her that he'll be in contact with our health minister, speaking in her favour to have something done. So
fucking my hole.
I know. I know.
My hole, because all that fucking
say it, man.
Blank bags in the dog.
Are you smoking weed there, man?
Smoke some more. Calm down a little bit.
Hit that shit, JB. Hit that shit.
It's not. It is. I beat the drum all the time, Martin, about how fucking backwards we are over here. Constantly, and how fucking pathetic our government are in this sense that they are just all in it for themselves. They do not have an iota of what the average working person in this country actually goes through. So I don't respect, and even for when we have a health minister, when we have a health minister that only a couple of years ago came out and said, when he wasn't in power, when he was in opposition, he came out and said that he can't see a problem why, if any consenting adult wants to grow a herb, he doesn't see a problem with it, and he doesn't see why there should be a problem with it. But now he is in power that he can, with a flick of a fucking pen, he can go, I'm going to put a vote to the people and let the people decide this.
He's ignoring us. He won't engage in any conversation. And when he admitted to that before, he was an independent. He's now Fine Gaeler, is he?
He's a Fianna Fáil man now.
It's just all the same anyway.
So exactly. They are all cut from the same cloth. These are two, as we said before, Mackie and lads, these were the same party that had a civil war back in the 1920s, and they split because they had different policies. Very similar policies, just slightly different. They have always been a centrist party, the both of them. Although
Sounds
one is
like
left,
they all
one is
need
right.
some cannabis.
They need so much cannabis, so much. It is not, and I guarantee you, they've all smoked. And if they haven't smoked it, their kids have smoked it, or their sisters, or their brothers, or their fucking mothers or fathers.
You know, somebody has.
You know, they all know that when you smoke a spliff, you are not going to see a pink elephant fucking floating through the air. You know,
turn into a bat and fly around the room.
That's a bat.
Yeah,
that will happen, man. There's evidence.
Yeah, well, I mean, we have it on tape. Somebody did testify that. So.
I have a good source there as well, GB, that someone within the phenophile side of things, ex-phenophilers and whatnot, they're looking at cannabis legalization and policies that are going to be formed. So it seems like the importation distribution is going to be the first port and call, that they're not interested in having a homegrown industry, like pardon the pun there, like, you know, kind of, they don't want Irish people to actually be entrepreneurs here in this industry. They'd rather have outsiders come import their product here and restrict our own countrymen, basically.
We do that all the time, Martin. You know, look at our fucking oil. Hello, we gave that away to Norway. You know, billions of euros a year goes to Norway and the Norwegian people instead of the Irish people, and that's what our government done for us.
That's it. And I just think we can't stand idly by and let them do this now again to us, that the cannabis industry shouldn't be something that's going to be exploited again for these guys' greedy needs. Like, as you guys said it there, I don't know which, I think it was it Mackie or somebody said, like, when you grow this stuff, like, you could practically give it away to a person who needs it. It's not very costly to produce.
No.
Yeah, it's not.
Not in the scale that we do it. When you overregulate it, then yes, and then you have 3 or 4 people that it transitions hands between in the process of getting to the final consumer. Then you have, because everybody's got to get their money, right, and the taxes and all that shit. But if we could just, you know, grassroots it, if I could, you know, and I'm fully behind testing and making sure that the product's safe and stuff. But if I could take my lot, a batch down to a lab, an accredited lab, have it tested. If it passes muster, and take it down to the farmer's market, and then, you know, and everybody could do that. So much less barriers to entry than having to be a millionaire and set up a.
There you go. And these are the points where our governments could be making a few pounds for themselves. Say, if you have to go down to an accredited lab, that lab has to pay for its accreditation. It has to jump through the hoops and it's to pay to the system. The same with, if you wanted to have a license to grow and sell, you apply and pay for that license. But if I want to grow some at home for my own personal use and I don't ever want to sell it, I shouldn't have to pay kind of any license or anything like that. Or, like, it's ridiculous like that. We over limit ourselves. And that's something I'm really banging the drum on, is just like unlimited amount of plants and veg. And I was talking to somebody the other day about it. It was like if I wanted to have a kilo of cannabis at home, why shouldn't I be allowed to have a kilo or even 10 if that matter? Like, because if you were to grow a couple of plants throughout the year, you're not going to smoke all of it. Sometimes you want to have some in a jar, and you might have 100 grams of a strain, and before you know it, you've got a couple of jars. You could have 10 or 20 jars there with 100 grams in each jar of 10 or 20 different strains. You know, that's 2-3 kilos. Before you know it, it's just building up over time. If you're a real connoisseur, like, and you just love the
flavor chasing,
you're a flavor chaser.
You're allowed to store up your fridge with as much alcohol as you want to.
I was just going to say that we don't drink in my house. We don't, but yet if you open, there's a press out there, it's got maybe 15 bottles with different types of whiskey. It's got about 8 or 9 bottles of vodka. There's 2 or 3 different types of beer, because for when we have people come over, people drink. You know,
so around your house go, this is too much.
Exactly. I could like, there's people that have bars, I mean fully stocked bars that are better than the fucking boozer you'll go into your local in their house, and they're chronic alcoholics. Nothing is said to them.
It's all the rage now at the moment, with the lockdown and everything, everybody building bars and out the back garden and everything. that was going on all through the summer.
I built me a big grow room. That was
That's
my
all the
bar.
rage too.
Yeah. Well, that's it. Like you look at the amount of new growers in Ireland alone.
Yeah,
is just phenomenal, and it's fantastic to see it.
Well, I need to get and sign up to Percys.
I'm friendly with the local grow shops, and I've been kind of asking them throughout the whole thing. It's kind of like, what's business like? How's it improving? Because I know at the very first lockdown, everybody was kind of finding it very hard to get cannabis, and I think as soon as
I wasn't.
Yeah,
No, no problem
I
at all.
think as soon as restrictions eased and those shops open back up again, what I was hearing from the local grow shops is, Jesus, there's loads of people in buying grow equipment, loads of people. So that was great to hear.
Oh yeah, like I was in, I go into a lot of the ones all around. I kind of go into grow shops all over the whole country. I don't really just shop in one. That's just because I'm on the road quite a bit, so it's handy to drop in and you see better prices and you see different products. It means I can shop in Ireland without having to shop online if I can, which is always handy. Try stay local wherever you are. You know,
Definitely.
Don't look after your own. Don't look after Jeff Bezos.
Really.
Where was I? I'm after losing me train of thought, but there was sorry man, there was a fella. He was 81 years of age, and he was saying to me, "Are you growing the cannabis as well?"
As well.
As well, and I went, "I am. Are you growing it yourself?" "Well, I've never grown it before," he says, "but I'm giving it a try."
No way.
That's
and
awesome.
he was 81, man.
Is this in one of the grow shops? Yeah.
This is this was in the grow. It's the grow shop in Navan, but it wasn't the Navan branch. It was in Dublin. Back. This is going back just before COVID hit, so it would have been just around January last year.
A lot of the older generation would be the best gardeners because those are the generation that used to garden, right? People my age don't. They pave their fucking yards. There's concrete and there's fake grass. They don't know how to take care of a yard. They don't want to, right? But those, that would be some really good cannabis.
I'm telling you, if my granda was still alive, you should have seen his rose garden, man. That won fucking awards, you know.
They're not easy to get good gardens out of, like the roses. They can be quite tough, like.
Fucking right they can be, and if you ever kick your football into it, God help you.
You won't be doing it twice.
No,
I've tried
you don't.
growing other things and shit, man, but it's just there's nothing like growing cannabis. That's just the best one.
Greenberg, can I ask, what was the best grow shop that you went into in your travels around Ireland? Just as you were on about it.
I would have to say the best stocked. I would put on par with the grow shop in Navan and Dublin Indoor Grow.
And where would you, anywhere stands out that you just went in and you're just like, no, that was a really nice place. I'd love to go back there again. Is there anywhere kind of like that? I hope I'm not putting you on the spot in that one now, but you might have any nice guys you kind of met, you know?
Yeah, the place in the UK. That was that one-stop grow shop.
Yeah, that one-stop grow shop in the UK was fucking amazing. There's two places, to be honest. For my grow equipment, I cannot beat Dublin Indoor Grow. The lads up there are fucking bang on. They are so knowledgeable. Tom and fucking the lads are savage. To buy all my smoking stuff, anything at all, I use the Himalayan shop up in Navan. They're a sister company to the grow shop. I like the grow shop as well. It's just I don't get on great with the staff for some reason. I'm a nice guy. I'm very friendly. You know yourself, Martin. But like they don't seem to like to have a fucking conversation with me. But the people next door in the Himalayan shop cannot say anything better about them. You know, they are amazing people.
Yeah. I used to love the conversations in the grow shop before some people coming in and they could be super sketch like, and they'd be, is this good for growing tomatoes? Like, and how big now will my tomatoes be?
Well, that's the thing. Like, I'm very straightforward. You know, I walk down the road smoking my weed. I don't hide anything. The only thing I do is I hide the fact that I grow it. And that's purely because I am in a position that I cannot afford to get caught. If I did, it would be very bad for a lot of people, not just me. So that's why only reason why I keep myself hidden. But when normally if I'm doing an interview, like, you know, yourself, Martin, I talk to you, but yeah, everyone I know knows I smoke. So nobody has a problem with it.
What made you start growing? You started a good while back, Greenbird. You were saying.
Really, the costs, man. You know, like I smoke a lot of weed, Martin. You know, I smoke a half ounce to an ounce a week when I'm paying for it. When I'm growing it, I'm smoking an ounce to an ounce and a half to nearly 2 ounces a week. Yeah. You know, so like, you know how much it is over here to smoke an ounce a week. That's nearly your fucking wages for most people.
Yeah.
Having that jar is beautiful, like just being able to dip in and as you go.
And it's, in fairness, it's not that I smoke. I don't get stoned. I'm never really stoned. I smoke because I have really bad arthritis. I'm a young man, Martin. I'm only in my mid-30s. I have really bad arthritis from my shoulder into my neck, down all the way down my spine, in my spine itself, and down into my knee. I've had arthritis since my teens. I've had near liver failure. My kidneys are in awful condition. I think they're an awful lot better now. I was at my biggest, I think it was 19-20 stone. This is all to do with the medication and everything that I've taken. I stopped all of my medication in January
of this year.
Okay. Because I had more than enough cannabis that I was able to actually do without it. I've had one episode where I've had to go back on to taking me diaphene, taking me Dialex, taking me tramadol, basically taking the whole fucking works. I was on them for a week. It took me a week and a half to come back around. I was suicidal. I spoke to Mackie about it. I had bad thoughts. It was just horrendous. And I said to him, I just don't know what's going on. And he went, when did you stop? When did you stop taking there? Yeah, I went, on Saturday. And he goes, well, that's what's wrong with you. Well, about 3-4 days later, I was back to normal again. Back my happy-go-lucky GB that fucking nothing gets down. And again, back to having no pain.
Drugs are bad for you.
No, horrendous. And they call cannabis drugs. You know, they call them narcotics. It's a fucking
I don't ever
outrage.
remember having to vote to say if paracetamol should be legal or not.
No.
We've rules in Ireland, like when you go down to the shop, you can only buy one box of paracetamol.
Yeah.
They won't sell you anymore. It's a good thing, I suppose.
Yeah, you should avoid taking that shit if possible.
Well, you look at Michigan. Michigan only went recreational recently. A good friend of our show, Spartan Grown. He was telling us all about it. Their recreational sales went from 9.8 million in January to 65.5 million by August. That was just crazy on the recreational sales. A lot of the money, and nearly as far as I know, all the money, or 90% of it, that's going from the intake of cannabis. All cannabis sales are going into hospitals, they're going into schools, they're going into local fucking enterprise, local governments. You know, like, this is what we need in this country. Our farmers are screaming for it. You know?
They just need guidance on what they actually need to be growing here, because again, they're going to be misled. Like that, they're talking about hemp. I hate when I hear them talking about only hemp. It's like, no, not that the fucking plant is cannabis. Like, just don't be afraid of the bloody word. Like, it's almost like this, like,
it's a stigma.
Yeah, exactly.
It is. You know, like, Martin, you know, over here, if anybody from 60s kind of up if they seen you walking down the street having a spliff, they'd be like, oh, you dirty scumbag, you fucking scanger, fucking junkie cunt. That's all you get off a lot of these. Oh, look at this. Oh, isn't he must do absolutely nothing with his life. But yeah, that person walking down the street could employ fucking 70 people. You know, could be fucking their tax bill alone could pay your entire mortgage, you know. And this is what people, it's, they just look at you and go, and they think one thing purely because it's what they have always thought. Cannabis is bad. You will smoke a cannabis spliff. Your child will smoke a cannabis spliff and they will die on the floor beside you. You know, come on, man.
Yeah.
Get a fucking grip.
I actually have a folder full of all the anti-cannabis commercials. I was going to do it today, but I kind of personal shit they do. But I'm going to put together a show, just sitting down, just looking at them, watching them. There was one from Michigan, actually. It was quite funny. I don't like. I won't even go playing them up here now on the screen fee. but
I know them, yeah.
Like, they're so fucking funny. Like this is your brain on drugs one, and the talking dog. Oh man, they're comical. Like how do they think that they were going to be taken serious? Like the one with the talking dog, that actually makes you want to smoke weed.
Exactly.
Talk to your dog.
Oh, what was it? Road Trip. Do you remember that movie? Where there was three of them going on a fucking drive, and they're fucking Tom Green, and they're sitting smoking a spliff with this old dude, and he turns around and the dog. If I to see, one of the reasons why I smoke weed, so my dog might be able to turn and talk to me. You know?
Yeah.
Fuck, man. It's a dream, but it's never gonna happen.
Yeah, it's America for a drug-free world. Oh, sorry, go on, Temple Gore.
It's fun to make fun of stoners, you know? You can. Like, I don't know, from a little bit more jaded perspective, but it's the same point, you know. They always say that stoners and drug users in general are the last kind of people that it's like almost legal and almost acceptable to discriminate against, right? Because nobody cares if you call somebody a stoner or something. It's almost a good thing.
There's something a lot to be said for we've to not be such weeds and stand up for ourselves. You know, I think that was something that was kind of said as a young person to people. You know, don't be such a weed and stand up for yourself. Like, you know, I think that's something that our community kind of like. That's where it's got changed. Like, I think like BC in Canada, like they were every year like massive gatherings for the 420. Like here, we're still stigmatizing, even within our own community, we stigmatize against that kind of a gathering. There's such fragmentation there, like in the community in Ireland, for us to come forward.
Well, I was going to say there's the community, in fairness, is fucking nearly non-existent in Ireland, Martin, especially when it comes to cooperation between people. Like, it's everybody has their own agenda. Nobody has the only agenda that we should have, and what everybody should have, is getting weed legalized. End the story. It's not just to push one aspect and only push this aspect. Come together. Everybody should come together. Try put one good deal and push that deal. But people have to come out and support it. You know, they came out over here over fucking water. You know?
Yeah. Like, water. We don't need that, do we?
No, we do need it, but
we didn't mean that there, though, did we? They're bringing in the charges.
Yeah, but no. In fairness, you look at the system. It was crumbling. They weren't asking for like thousands and thousands. They weren't clear with what they were asking, and if they had been clear, and if they had been able to turn around and say it's going to be a state company that's never going to be sold, and you're only going to pay €125 per household a year. No big fucking deal on that. Yeah. But they weren't able to give a straight answer on anything, and everybody just went out, and there was hundreds of thousands went out.
Yeah.
The media said there was only tens of thousands, but like, you look at the pictures, and if Irish people would have known the streets, you easily know, like, if they show a picture on St. Patrick's Day and they say there's 150,000 people there,
Yeah.
and then they show the same picture a couple of weeks later and they say there's 10,000 people there.
That's right. Yeah, there was good breakdowns actually of guys of actually counting the crowd, and they were like, "Come here, RT, like you're straight up just lying."
Yeah.
And lying to the people who are paying. You want to pay the license fees too, like
but that's our censorship, and that's what happens everywhere. It's the censorship of the governments that are in charge, and that's in every country.
Yeah. Mackie, can I ask you actually? You're in the UK. The outlaw guy. Have you come across him at all? There, he's up.
Yeah, we're going to be interviewing him soon for our podcast. Hopefully,
we'll
get in contact with him. Yeah, I haven't come across him personally. I know what he does, and he does some good shit. Yeah, so we've reached out for him to be on our podcast, and he's got back to us, and we will be interviewing him soon.
Happy days. Yeah, I was trying to reach out to him as well to get in touch because I
like you. When I speak to him again, I'll make sure to hook you up, man.
Because I love your style of activism, but it's just kind of pure in your face, going on giving out free weed and things like that. Like, it's just like, that's the thing that gets people talking and what have you. Like, there's so many Instagram accounts out there now with fellas just flogging their own product and stuff, but they're doing very little to give back to the community in terms of fighting.
They're not giving. There's none of them are giving it back, Martin. And if there is, you could probably count them on one hand, because the rest of people, like, as we all said, like, anyone who is growing it to fucking sell it is only growing it to make money for one person, and that's themselves. Where the likes of us in Percys, if we grow it,
Percys Grow Room, personal growers,
Yeah, it's personal grow. You grow for yourself, and that's what we encourage.
Yeah. But you're still out here. You're still beating the drum. You're not like, you're doing your piece. Like the podcasts you do, they're quite informative and what have you. So that's your give back there to the community. It's not all take, Whereas,
we are community based. None of us make any money from any of this. We all do this purely for the love of cannabis and for the pure love of spreading the word
and getting people growing their own, because it's important. Like GB says, with the fucking €400 an ounce over there, people can't afford that, man. People can't medicate themselves properly, because there's some people out there they genuinely need it for medicine, like actually fucking need it. I mean, we can all say that we smoke medicinally, but we can't get on without it. It's just not nice to. But some people actually need that shit, and they can't afford them prices. So people need to grow more of their own. It would take money out of the pockets of criminals.
There you go.
You have a higher quality of weed, like a much fucking higher quality. You don't really know until you've grown your own how much.
Not only criminals either, but people that don't give a fuck, and just, whether it's Bitcoin or crypto, whether it's mining, whether it's the .com boom in the 90s, these people are just, they're in it for money, whatever it is, and they don't care. So
and when you grow your own shit, it's like, I want this to be the best it can be.
For sure. Those types of people just swooped in and took advantage of legalization now that they were allowed to, but there were people fighting and still fighting for this now, right? So
it's the new gold rush is what is going to happen right now, man. People looking at it.
It's been going on for a while, hasn't it? There's been kind of a slow takeoff. There was the initial kind of get-go with the CBD stuff. Like, it started, I think, for me anyway at the time, I think the big one was Charlotte's Web was the big driver there, Charlotte Feed, and that whole story. And then you had the CBD gold rush or green rush, whatever kind of term that you wanted. And that hasn't really stopped either. I think that's still going, and it's only building up momentum, really, isn't it?
An awful lot goes to, in my opinion, is the more liberal a society is, or a country or state, the more open they are to the likes of cannabis and that. But when you come into strong religious dominated countries, that's where it is. And that's with Ireland. Ireland is a vast multicultural country now, but we are still kind of dominated by the Catholic Church when it comes to our government, although they say they're not, but they are, because they were all good little altar boys.
Yeah.
So that's yeah.
here, I suppose we've been chatting a lot about politics. I was trying to talk a bit more about growing.
Oh yeah,
because oh geez, we'll get really angry about some of
the podcast. We briefly mentioned the podcast there. That's something which we like to talk about a lot.
You got a new YouTube page actually recently, didn't you? So you're rebranding, or is it?
Well, no, it's because High on Homegrown is kind of a separate entity to Percys Grow Room. We want to keep it as a different thing. It's going to be a High on Homegrown network where we're going to have different podcasts on that same channel. Like we have Higher on Homegrown, but we've got another little something special coming up soon, which I haven't told anybody about.
Okay, nice.
It's still in the works.
Teasing.
Yes. Because our usual show, which it's live every Sunday at 9:00. And we discuss the same things every week. Not the same thing, but we do news and events. Famous stoners, famous people out there who are stoners who you might not know are stoners. We do a grow guide section. We have an interview, and you've been on the show in the interview section before.
That's right.
And we do some fun things as well, like truth or spoof, where we come up with three statements, and you got to try and guess which one's false, which GB always gets wrong. Because still after 20 episodes, he still doesn't get the concept of the game.
You got it right when he used the chat.
So people seem to really enjoy the show, man, which makes us enjoy recording it and putting it out live every week.
Yeah, I think you got a good structure there. I really like kind of how you do it. You mix it up with the interview in the middle of it. With the little pieces there, kind of beginning and after.
I think
that sound one is the one that I kind of really like listening to. I haven't been able to guess.
Yeah, what the fuck was that? Yeah.
What the fuck was that? Yeah.
Just so just fun little bits. It's got news in there, and then there's information on growing, and it's just. I think there's a fine balance of everything for a stoner podcast, and the important thing is. This podcast is for stoners, so we have a fucking laugh while we're doing it. We don't take it too seriously. We don't claim to be gurus and shit. We just help you grow some decent weed, man. We're not like experts. We're just growers. Yeah, and we laugh, which a lot of podcasts we find because you do your market research. You go out, listen to other podcasts, and see what happens. And there's not really a lot of banter and laughter on many podcasts. And on ours, it's just constant. We're always having a laugh. So.
Crack.
And
I go on Greenbird.
We have the good thing is the Q&A section on the podcast. That's basically if anybody has any questions they ask, they can send us a question on in a thread.
And I've only just realized this week that I think people just think that that's for growing questions, but it's not, man. You can ask any question there and we'll do our best to answer it.
Oh my gosh!
Or otherwise,
Mackie,
what is the meaning
new category?
It's listener Q&A, man. They've taken the time to listen to the show. They deserve to ask a question if they want to know if we live in a simulation or not.
That's what I was saying. The question would be Mackie,
simulation cameo. There it is.
Simulation.
We always have to bring that up. What do you think, Martin? Do we live in a simulation? I think we've discussed this before.
Yeah,
I think Martin is a simulation.
Yeah, I think we're more likely in a simulation, aren't we?
Yeah, I think so as well. You see, I told you. It's not just me.
That's just cannabis years.
We love that.
Easily swayed.
Can you each tell me what your first strain was, if you can remember? If you want to start, Mackie, just as your
blue cheese was my first strain. Blue cheese grown in a 60 centimeter grow tent. Fuck knows what I was smoking the first time I smoked.
Yeah, back in the day.
The first one I grew was blue cheese, and it was in a 60 centimeter grow tent under a 250 watt HPS in a DWC bucket. And I got about 6 ounces of it, if I remember correctly. It was a fucking big yield, and I was like, "Fuck, this is good." So then I upgraded to the 1.2 meter tent. Did more DWC, but it just got too difficult. And then I wanted to go to soil to make things easy. So I went and got some soil from the shop and I brought it back and I tried growing plants in it. And the fucking things weren't doing well at all. They were dying. I was like, I should have stuck to the hydro. Yeah. And then I realized when I went to the shop to buy soil, I bought cocoa. So, the plants are dying because of that. And then I figured out how to grow in cocoa. And it's like I haven't looked back since. Been growing in cocoa since then. It's a perfect medium. I love it.
Yeah, that was the last one I actually grew in as well, was cocoa. It was definitely something that if I was to go back to growing, that I'll be probably looking at cocoa. Those auto pots seem to be amazing.
Well, they're not really good for cocoa because with cocoa you have to water from the top to wash the salts out after every feed.
Right.
With your runoff, and if you're in an auto pot, you don't get the feed from the top, so the salts stay in there, and it brings up the EC after a while, and it'll give you plant problems.
Okay, yeah, I didn't realize that now at all because I've only seen good things being said about them. But
air pots, man, air pots. Is what you want
I
with
was
cocoa.
going to say you cannot, could not. Sorry, I couldn't say anything better about air pots, man. They are the fucking business.
Holes all around them, isn't it?
Like, yeah, that's the ones. Yeah, the plastic ones. And they're pretty cheap nowadays. I remember when they first come out, and I bought my first fucking set of air pots for like £25 a piece. And now you can buy them for like £4 or something.
Oh yeah, sure. I bought some when I was over with you over in that the One Stop Grow shop, and I got they had a couple of 5 litre ones. I think I was looking for a couple of small ones. I think I got them for what, £3.50.
Yeah, so cheap.
Yeah.
Things have developed over time so much. Everything's so easy to get now. It never used to be like this.
So your air pots, so cocoa, and what's your average yield like now per plant? Let's say.
I'm disappointed if I get less than 4 ounces off a plant.
Yeah, less than 4 is disappointing.
Yeah, but what the fuck? What 3.5 ounces?
What kind of space do you give per plant?
What's it? 2 square feet? Well, 4 square foot, like 2 foot by 2 foot
per plant.
Yeah. 4 in a 1.2 meter grow tent, 4 foot by 4 foot grow tent.
Yeah.
It's perfect. my cycle starts out, because this is a cool cycle if I do say so myself. Right? Yeah, so I'll start 8 plants. 4 of them will be photo period plants, and 4 of them will be auto flowers, and that will just sit in one tent, which is my veg tent under 18.6, which is under a Mars Hydro TS 2000. And I'll let them grow out for like 3-4 weeks, top them, train them, and they only need to sit in that one veg tent. Then when they start to get too big, I'll take the 4 photos over to another tent, which is going to be the flowering room, but keep them on 18.6 for a couple more weeks, and leave the veg tent with the autos in on 18.6, and that tent gets filled. And then, after a couple of weeks in the other tent, you're going to flip that to flower your photo period plants. You still got a tent on 18.6. So when the autos come down a few weeks later, you have that little harvest there while your big harvest is being cooked. And you can also start the rest of your plants like another 4 photos, 4 autos, and repeat the process. Because when you harvest the photo period plants, you just move the photos in again, because they'll be the right size to move into the flowering tent. It's a process goes round and round, and you can constantly supply yourself with weed then.
It's just your perpetual harvest.
Pretty much, but it's using autos and photos together in a veg room, because if the lights are going to be on 18.6 anyway, you might as well put a fucking auto under it, right?
It may as well be giving you some flair.
You know what I'm saying? And autos are quality nowadays, especially if you go with good breeders like Dutch Passion. You all know how much I love auto Colorado cookies. It's good fucking plants, man. Every time, quality weed, good amount of it.
Colorado cookies. That was a question I was going to get you actually in a minute about seed strains. But if you were in Canada, your growing style would be illegal.
yeah, for sure. But I'm not doing anything wrong. And the thing is as well, it's like 8 plants, but my wife smokes too, so I'm not just growing for myself. I grow for my wife too. So it's not like I smash through a ridiculous amount of weed. I do, but I do it together.
Yeah. Always nice. Weed is better shared, like.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
What about you, Temple Grower? What was your first strain, if you don't mind me asking, if you can remember?
Oh, sure, yeah. Well, the first strain was grown in a retrofitted dresser that I built, and because I used to grow, obviously used to be illegal here as well.
She was a stealth grower, so.
Oh yeah, big time. Well, not super stealth, because I just had a towel on the door, so it wasn't very smell proof, But no, I had 2 little plants in there that were, I don't know what they were. They were bag seed from a bag that I got from a friend who got it from
mystery seeds.
Some BC Kootenai bud. So it was good stuff, whatever it was. And bag seeds always hit or miss, but this stuff was pretty good actually, considering that I was growing under 4, spiral CFL light bulbs. But my first real grow after I got my tent and the lights and all that set up was, what did I do? I had I've been medically licensed, I guess. So my limit's a bit higher than your average Canadian. And I did 6 plants. Like my limit's 15, but my first grow was 6 plants. Or my first official grow, I should say. I've been growing for a decade. My first official grow was 6 plants on this strain called Blue Dynamite. That's I don't know if it's available anymore from the breeder. The breeder is, I think, Next Generation Seeds, if I'm not mistaken, out of he's out of Edmonton now, but he's been all kind of around the BC coast and over to Holland too, I think, at some point. But yeah, BC or the Blue Dynamite is like it's a version of the legendary sweet pink grapefruit that comes out of BC. That was his version of that, and then that was crossed with blueberry, I believe. So it's a really heavy, potent. Like I have some right now actually that I just finished, and it's like I open the jar and the whole wherever the jar is, that room is done. You can't. There's no conspicuous or no inconspicuosity or whatever that word is there anymore. It's good stuff.
Conspicuousness.
Yeah, that one. Blue Dynamite, though. It's good stuff, but not super common, I don't think. At least not outside of the Western Canada. But yeah, that would be mine. Blue Dynamite.
I've heard of her anyway, for sure. The Blue Diamond. It's certainly on my list there now to have a look at later, along with the Colorado cookies that Mackie mentioned.
Yeah, it's good. I've grown many strains, man, and it's not very often that I have like repeat offenders. I always like to try something new. But there's like 3 strains that have stuck with me for all the years of growing, and that's Auto Colorado cookies. Always have one in the tent. Cheese, like blue cheese, that's one that I've come back to a few times. And Jack Herer.
What seed company would you source that one from?
I'd get my Jack Herer from Seedsman. There's fucking podcast.
This is fucking awesome, man.
Yeah. My blue cheese comes from Big Buddha himself, Big Buddha Blue Cheese. That's the guy you want to get your blue cheese from. And Auto Colorado cookies comes from Dutch Passion. You need to let your Auto Colorado cookies go for 100 days. It does say that it will be done in like 10 weeks, 11 weeks from seed. But if you can really push it to that 100 days, then you get the full display of the terpenes and the resins, and it's properly mature, nice, good, chunky bud size. Really, really push that strain, and you'll get the best out of it. She's beautiful.
Nice. What about you, GB? What was your first strain?
My first one was AK-47.
AK-47, nice. Yeah. Before.
That's good old school. That's really what was around. Again, you know yourself over here, when you buy weed, you're lucky you're just told it's weed.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think that's the same in a lot of places, bar the good countries.
Started meeting growers first. Actually, there was a lad that he was growing for another guy, but that's what they were growing. It was just constantly AK-47 rolling through the tent. So that was actually who I got my cutting off of. I just he had a spare one there, and I was like, oh yeah, nice one. I'd flower that like a good couple of years back, and yeah, that was quite a nice strain. It was around a lot at the time, actually, as you were saying.
Yeah, it was big back in the day. That was my first. My best strain. Well, my best plant or yield I got was the last one I done. I just had one plant. It was I had a really bad germination ratio. I had 1 out of 10 germ. No, 2 out of 10, and only 1 survived.
Right.
Yeah, they were really bad. That was Snowbud. And I got it from the Right Seed Bank. You know them there up on Capel Street there.
Yeah.
God, I think the seeds themselves are no longer around, so I think they were literally the last of the genetics that they had. Amazing strain in my opinion. I got such good weed out of it, but I got it was just 12 and a half ounces off one plant.
Jeez, that's 12 and a half ounces. What?
I'm nearly sure it was. Was it? Hang on.
What do you mean grams?
No, grams.
Whoa.
What did I get? No, hang on. I got 100, and I have it written down. 86 grams. Divide that down, lads. I'm shit at maths.
Fucking hell. 7, 8.
Yeah. 186 grams is what I had. Because it is in my little diary here in front of me.
Yeah, that's pretty good. 186.
And that was I vegged her out for
3 months.
Yeah, that's the one.
I think it was 12-week veg, that one.
Yeah, that was a big long one.
Yeah.
That was during the COVID.
212 grams is half a pound. So.
Yeah, we hadn't been a.
Oh, yeah.
We did it good.
We did. That's a whole fucking hour without saying it. We have.
No, you've mentioned it a few times.
Oh, it's been mentioned many times.
I forgot about it. We have a game, Martin. On.
Oh, we're starting that now. Okay.
And it's every time you mention that word.
Pandemic
you have to take a drag. We started this game with Tommy Chong a couple of weeks ago. We outsmoked Tommy. He had to literally go and lie down, and he was getting in trouble with his missus because she had a lot of chores that he was meant to be gone out to do.
I know when you're getting too stoned, you've got to drive.
He's packing her up. Good man.
There you go. Good job.
It's fucking awesome.
I got some hash here too. Yeah. Excited.
What about you, Monkey? What was your first?
Bag seed. That would be Mexican sativa bag seed from the 1980s.
Nice.
Oh.
Didn't have a clue what I was doing, so I had a greenhouse at the behind the house in the city, and just decided to pop some peat moss, kind of a homemade organic kind of a peat-based soil, and I planted them in October, total wrong time of the year. I didn't even know light cycle was dependent or anything. So, of course, they flowered real fast, and they were kind of small, but they did get sticky. And I had to pull them early because I have family that was constantly coming back and forth, and they were getting big. They were getting kind of hard to move in and out of the greenhouse into the closet back and forth. So, but I do remember when we pulled them, it was dried it up, and my friends were very, very impressed with it. So
I found a plant before. It was just out walking by the train tracks, and I saw a plant pot sitting by the fence, and I went over and had a look, and it looked like a cannabis fucking plant. You know, it had been grown at this point, so I knew what it looked like. And it's like somebody must have put it there to try a little gorilla grow. And I was like, no, I'm taking that. I will give it a good home.
You're going to be that guy.
So it's probably going to get eaten, but it was tiny, man. It's going to get eaten by a rabbit or something. It wasn't put there properly. You have to really put it for an outdoor grow.
I've never found a plant. I found a few bags of weed walking around on the street, but
no, I've never done that.
I
took this thing home. I planted it.
No, I've never found anything. Well, we found a tiny piece of a bud in a hotel room drawer one time. That's about the most weed I've ever found.
Is it good?
Like one brack. That was about it.
Yeah.
You ever see the? I don't know if any of your groups are on the groups. There was an Amsterdam kind of group where people used to put it up like, "Oh, I stayed in this apartment. I'm leaving now, and I'm leaving my stuff here in this space." Like. Next person in there, and like people will be trying to get into those apartments, like they're in them and to be leaving them hidden outside of the airport then as well, like, you know, the stash and dash kind of thing. It used to be great fun watching them.
It's a good idea.
I've left so much weed in Ubers before in Colorado. I mean, you got to do what you got to do.
In Canada now, you gotta have like a spot at the airport now, just like a weed bin if you're flying internationally, isn't it?
Yes, some of them have had them yet, I think. I know there's one in Denver. When I was in Denver, I saw the weed bin.
They just started putting that in Denver.
Yeah.
So the sign basically says that if you're flying internationally, please dispose of your cannabis here. So what it means is if you're flying within the country, it's like, keep your cannabis in your pocket. You're grand. As long as you're in a legal spot. Man, that's so cool.
You can travel with, as long as it's under, each Canadian's allowed to carry up to 30 grams on their person, right? So whether it's in the air or in a car or in a, plane, train, automobile, whatever the stupid idiom I'm trying to find is.
I think plane, train, and automobile is it.
That's the one.
Yeah.
So I do rag on legalization a lot, and for good reason here, but like you guys said, I mean, first steps are important, and the right to grow, even for plants, like we talked about in the show with the scrogging, you can get a substantial amount even with 4 plants. And I always say, if every Canadian, even every second or third Canadian on the block were to grow their 4 plants, there would be a glut of cannabis that we would never have seen before. And so yeah, grow your own, people.
Exactly. What is it like there in the breeder scene now, and with strains and breeders? I was talking to somebody the other day, and I was kind of hitting on the point that there's a lot of seed producers, but not many seed breeders. Would that be something you would concur with, Temple Grower in Canada?
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't really know too much about the details of it.
I keep saying Canada. You're in US, isn't it? You're in.
No, I'm in Canada.
Oh yeah, sorry. Jeez.
Monkey's the US.
Yeah. Oh, Monkey's in US. Yeah, sorry.
No, here in Canada, I mean, we have the breeders that we've always had, the underground guys like Next Gen that I mentioned before. There's Jordan of the Island and a few fairly well-known people or groups of people. But in terms of on the legal side of things, that's just coming out right now. There's in the last, I would say, like 6 to 8 months, even, that's been the first offerings of seeds. There's been clones available, at least in the medical sphere, for quite a number of years now, from a couple different producers. But they don't have the best selection. Like the one LP was they had basically Paradise Seeds entire line, which is great if you like Paradise, but not great if you don't want to have some Della Haze and other things like that. And there's always the risk of contaminated plants and stuff like that, and that has been an issue, even coming from the regulated producers. But in terms of breeding, no, there's a couple now that are just coming out, like I mentioned, but they've just started to come out, and I don't know how much, like I said, I don't know the details, or I'm not privy to the details. But in terms of breeding, in the strictest sense of breeding, as to what we think of cannabis breeding, I don't know how much of that has actually happened with them, just because, I mean, how could it at this point in the industry, being only 2 years old? You need quite a length of time, and you need the ability to grow many hundreds or even thousands of plants to do your pheno hunting and selections and stuff like this, and then multiple generations, right? So the way it works now is like they're allowed to bring genetics in from the black market as a one-time thing when they first get registered as a new company. So like they'll go to Spanibus, they'll go to other shows like that and pick up a bunch of seeds from Sensi and from the breeders that we're all used to and love. But they have to declare those, and then after that, I'm not sure really how it works in terms of like giving credit to the breeders, because we don't see on any of the products, we don't see Sensi Seed Skunk #1 by X company. It's always just Hindu Kush and that's it, or whatever. They don't really pay homage to anything like that. So yeah, that's a really kind of tricky and hot button, I would say, topic right now in the Canadian canna sphere. So that's a good question, though, and I think
it was something that people were kind of touching off of there a while back when some form of legalization was happening, even in around the US and stuff like that. It was rights over genetics and strains and stuff. I think there was a company there, it was a plyogenetic or phylogenetic or something along those, phytogenetic. I can't remember.
Maybe, but
Phylos, that was the one, I think. And they were kind of caught up there where they were trying to collect all of the genetic data off the plants, and they were trying to, but then actually what they were doing was kind of a bit underhanded. I thought there was a bit of something shadiness going on there where people were saying that they were going to contain it, or I don't know what was going on there.
There was people were trying to patent the like THC molecule, wasn't it? Or they were trying to patent like a specific strain.
Yeah, the genetic profile.
Genetic profiles on specific strains. They wanted to actually own them, and that's
which like if you build, if you grow, but everybody is after fucking stealing from somebody else now at this stage. There's how many people have actual original land races that they have to go back so that they can start breeding their own genetics through fucking cross mutations of original land race strains.
Well, that's what's important. There are no original strains left. Everything has been, in one way or another, twisted around in something. It's been around that long.
Yeah.
I was only talking about a study that was done over in Bath University. You probably read it, Martin, about how survey for 50 years how fucking cannabis, first it was hash and now they're saying just cannabis in general has risen, and like we all know it has got better, you know. It's not that it's got stronger, it's just got better. It's like all pharmaceuticals, they all start off okay deals, but it's improved. It's the same with crops. You know, did we all, was a pumpkin always fucking a foot in diameter?
Right, yeah. There was a good breakdown on that topic there of over the years that they're repeatedly saying like, oh, the cannabis today or the marijuana today is it's 10 times stronger than what it was 10 years ago. But then 10 years later, they're saying the same thing about 10 years previous. And if you add it up, it's like, well, Jesus, the cannabis today must actually be like 10,000 times stronger.
It must be rocket fuel.
It is. It's 100% pure.
Yeah, it's just,
and that's just like, oh, actually, no, well, it's prohibition that's caused that, so isn't it? So
it's crazy when you look at the cannabis plant itself, Martin, what it can do. Like, it, on the medical side alone, we know it helps everything from arthritis to epilepsy to people that are fucking fighting nausea, from chemo and stuff, from everything, even down to your mental health. Like people say, people use the drum of beating it's bad for your mental health. I disagree with that, only on the fact, and not because I use it, purely because I know people that suffer with horrendous anxiety and they use it and they're okay within half an hour to an hour. They've relaxed, they've calmed down, they're not having a panic attack, their heart's not racing, they're not putting themselves in danger, they're not relying on fucking horrible fucking chemicals either that are trying. It's a nice herbal option. You know, why is it everything? And they discourage all herbal medicine and new age medicine. This is all medicine that is all free to us from the ground, that all of these things can do. Like, where do you think your Panadol came from? It came from fucking mold.
Right.
You know, it's the same with penicillin, or is it penicillin? Like,
penicillin.
Penicillin.
I mean, aspirin came from willow trees. I mean,
you know, so like this, our ancestors, our people, we knew what the elements could do for us. They've taken that away from us with big pharma, with big consumerism, and that's the problem. It's they have the power. You look at now with COVID. You look at smoke.
You just did that.
You look at Pfizer. They have the vaccine. You look at the stock levels that have jumped with Pfizer, have skyrocketed. Pfizer are going to control who. No, we're not giving you the vaccine because we don't like your policies over there. This is what's going to happen. It already happens with other things, but this is happening with our fucking with the health of the entire planet, and it's happening in front of us. And all people are caring about is, oh, there's a vaccine. It's great, there's a vaccine.
Do you know about the vaccine?
I'm not going to take it myself. You know?
Did you know that it's not really a vaccine? It's gene therapy that they're actually trying to do on people. It's an mRNA.
It's an NRA thing, yeah. And it's they did say that if it is successful as they think it is, that they're going to be able to treat cancers and things with it. But you can already do this with the cannabis plant. This is where I was coming from. Sorry, and I went off on a tangent.
A tangent.
I know. Imagine that. The cannabis plant. You can make graphite from cannabis at like 1,000th of the cost of what it is now to make. For byproduct from that kills cancer in stem cells. This is all known, but it's hidden.
Yeah.
You know, that's
fibers and hemp fiber, or not hemp, flax fibers. Apparently, if you combine the two of those together, you get an almost I wouldn't say indestructible, but like an incredibly tensile piece of material used for building cars that would withstand better than our current cars do now.
Well, that's this stuff that is basically, it's like graphene. We were talking about it a couple of weeks ago. It costs something like 1.5 million to make a half a ton of this stuff at the minute. It'd cost you, I think it was 100,000 or something like that. That's how much of a difference it is to make it from cannabis. You can make concrete from cannabis. You know, you can make plastic bags from it. You can make plastic chairs. Everything that is plastic in front of you and in your house can be made from cannabis, which cannabis sequesters alone, it sequesters more carbon than any of the grass or trees or any hedgerow or anything that's out there. This is a plant that was given to us by Mother Nature. It's a plant that has developed and grown alongside by side with mankind, with people, humankind. You know, it's just fucking crazy that it's illegal.
Yeah, there's been so many bloody harms that have come about because of it. You mentioned all of these very beneficial uses. Like, I think, is it the Emperor Wears No Clothes or the Hemperor Wears No Clothes? That book, he lists 50,000 plus uses of hemp within that book. It's absolutely ridiculous what we've done to allow this. And like, I you know what boils my blood actually is there's a lot of people kind of would say to me from time to time, they would belittle some of the activism, like fighting for, say, legalization of cannabis, and they would say like, oh, you're trying to say it's a panacea for all of life's woes, and like, you know, it's going to heal everything, and you can build houses with it. Oh, sure. Like, you actually can.
You can.
And it actually is really good for a lot of the fucking problems that life can throw at you, such as things like cancer and the issues that go with that. Like,
the first production car that was ever made was the Ford Model T. Everybody knows it. Everybody knows the famous words, you can have it in any color as long as it's black. Not many people know that it was the majority of it was built from cannabis. It was hemp, cannabis and hemp seat covers. Sorry, the weave of it. The material. The body of it was made out of compressed, you know, hemp. Everything. It was 90% of it was.
And it was supposed to be biofueled as well.
It was
supposed to be hemp seed fuel.
It was meant to be fueled on hemp seed, and then that was interrupted by the prohibition. Again, gasoline took over.
Who funded the prohibition? It was some of the people like the petrochemical companies. Like,
exactly.
Yeah. Oh, Jesus, like the people.
And this is where it comes from. It's what the negative view of cannabis on the entire world came because of prohibition and stuff in America. America is the leader. As soon as America completely legalizes it straight across the board, the rest of the world is going to follow in very quick.
Yeah, that'll free the banking up. Yes.
That it's going to happen. It's what happens at everything. You look at everything that happens in America, within 10 years, everywhere in Europe is definitely doing it. Everywhere in the Middle East, well, not in the Middle East, further on, like if you go to the likes of South Korea, they're very advanced. They follow an awful lot of the same concepts.
Apparently it's decriminalized in North Korea, is it, or something? Or yeah.
There's no law against it. Yeah,
there's no law against it, right?
Yeah.
There's no law in favor of it.
Yeah, they don't need a law.
No. In fairness, I'd say if Kim walked by and he wasn't in a good fucking mood that day anyway, he could be in a bad spot.
You think he talks?
I wouldn't say he does, because he is not a fucking rational man. Yeah, you know, it's like Donald Trump. You definitely know he doesn't talk because he ain't a rational man.
No, he ain't a calm man or anything.
No, if there was any narcotic, I'd say that he's fucking gone mad on the fucking Charlie. Because he's like, you know yourself when you party down on Charlie Brown.
He's raging.
He's prescribed it anyway, isn't he? He's prescribed some form of amphetamine or something like that, wasn't it? Speed or something.
I'm sure he could get whatever he needed.
Yeah.
He gets the good drugs. What's the price of weed been like, Monkey, in your neck of the woods since, say, going back and since things have changed there?
Well, the problem is I haven't bought weed now in years because my cupboard's never empty and I don't have to go anywhere and I don't have to spend any money on it. So all I do is buy nutrients and cocoa, and that's really all I've been doing. So I can't answer that. I don't know anybody who buys weed right now.
Really? Okay.
And Monkey will be in the same boat as us, Martin. Monkey is in still a non-legal state.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean,
Okay.
I'm in deep south down here, and they just haven't cracked the recreational bubble. The state I'm in down here, you can get a medical license to actually use cannabis, but the only thing you can get is state grown medicines, and it's all extracts and preparations. You can't get whole flower because they were afraid people would smoke it.
Yeah. Well, there's only 15 states now that adults can kind of grow or access, isn't it?
Really not sure about that number exactly. I know Mississippi just came online for medical access, and Texas is online now down here. We have Oklahoma online down here. We have Louisiana online down here, Florida. So, I mean, we've almost got the entire deep South in not recreational, medical, but there's no crack anywhere for the recreational. So, but I do know for medical use, they originally what they were doing, it was two companies were allowed to grow, and they have to be licensed by state universities. Now, interestingly enough, our state decided to go ahead and go out of state send our money out of state to grow cannabis that's going to be consumed in Louisiana. So the cannabis was being produced in Nevada originally, and then sent back to Louisiana and processed to concentrates so that it could be sold here. It was kind of weird.
Yeah. Jeez.
but only thing you could buy originally was 3 formulas. You could buy a tincture of THC, you could buy a tincture of 1-to-1 CBD THC, or you could buy pure CBD. That's all that was available. And it was like the 1 ounce jar of the tincture would go for like about $250, and the insurance wouldn't pay for it. So it was pretty much out of pocket. So it was very expensive, and there was no other option down here. So we're hoping that with the new administration, now that they're threatening to decriminalize, that maybe opens the door now, and we can do a few more things.
What's the crack with the Morrible? Do you know much about that there? That's before the House of Congress or something like that?
You're talking about the bill that the House is going to pass?
Yeah, is that in December there? And
yes.
that will effectively...
I almost went on that on the podcast last week, but I changed to a different story. Yeah, the vote was scheduled to go originally in September. And I was really excited because they were finally going to actually have something. It's expected to pass the House, to have the votes. They even have some Republicans that are going to vote for it as well. So they know that they'll have the passing votes. But they're getting a lot of pushback from the Republicans right now because, of course, they don't want this thing to pass. It seems like they say it's an insensitive thing to do at a time when everybody's fighting this pandemic and all that stuff like that. It might be the perfect time to do it right now.
Exactly, especially when cannabis has been defined as an essential business, like in states where it's legal, like that there tells you how valuable it actually is to the community to have it. It's essential.
Absolutely. I mean, it can definitely de-stress your population. And that's what people during this pandemic have been using it for. They're staying home and using it just to kind of chill out a little bit. And maybe, if you want to put it this way, escape while staying home. Exactly. Because that's what we have to do right now.
You look at the amount of people that have normally could work in an office with 50, 60, 70, 100 people, could work in a factory with hundreds of people. And then for months on end, they have to either work from a home or they've been laid off and they have nothing to do. Let them grow cannabis, because an awful lot of them are suffering really bad with mental health. Sorry, that's what I meant. They're suffering really bad mentally because they don't have the social interaction that they had before. They don't know and they don't deal with mental health in our country at all. You can be in an awful way with anxiety, and your doctor will basically turn around and say, yeah, there's a couple of breathing exercises you can do, and send you on your way out the door and give you a little pat on the back.
A couple of breathing exercises you can do with a spliff in your mouth.
Yeah, no doubt.
No, like, I tell you, my other half.
Let me take a deep breath on this bong right now.
My other half suffers with anxiety, and the two of us were in the doctor at the same time, start of the year, and that's what the doctor said. And I kind of turned around and I went, well, you're not going to say like recommend this or that, or like doing like he suffers. I can't help him at all because I don't know anything at all about anxiety. I've never suffered with it. I've smoked cannabis since I was 13. So I've never had anxiety. I've always had a very laid back, easygoing personality. I don't argue with anybody. I don't cause arguments. There's a lemon. I will be a typical stoner as such, but I'm not a layabout either, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, you're quite up and get about. I wouldn't be a typical stoner either, in the sense that like I'm always going as well. I'm not sitting on a couch constantly.
Yeah.
Like, I teach Thai boxing, self-defense, and all right, I have an honors degree in herbal science. All right, that might sound pretty stonerish.
What is a typical stoner? I mean, I know there's so many different kinds of stoners.
But that's, you look at it, it was always a fucking like a rough Mexican was what it is when you think about it. It's, if you look before Cheech and Chong changed the image of the stoner from somebody who was gonna fucking murder you in the fucking alley over fucking $10 to a happy-go-lucky person, and then that kind of mentality has always stuck to it. And always continued on. It's the hippies.
It was definitely hippies for me in the States. It was always the hippies.
Yeah, damn finger waving, long hair having.
Oh. Yeah,
brown glasses wearing.
Army jackets back in the 60s. That stuff. Yeah.
Well, like the hippies are cool. I like certain hippies. You know, some of them can be. Some of the tree huggers can be a bit much. You know.
Yeah. I think going back to the image before the hippies was definitely some sort of a murderous
sure.
Mexican. But yeah, definitely come 60s, 70s, there was a big shift there as to the image. I suppose even into the 30s and 40s, there would have been a shift there to being more the jazz and that, like, but still having that racial connection there. And then once they were losing the racial connection, once they wanted to target the hippies, now it was these dumb stoners. It wasn't these black stoners. It wasn't these Mexican stoners. It was just dumb stoners. No, because it could be your college dropout white kids as well. Like, oh, these kids are stoners as well, because these were the ones out protesting the war actually at the time.
That's right.
Exactly. They wanted to target them.
It's like they'll probably do the same again now. They'll try say that it's just all the climate activists and the ones that actually care about our environment. Oh well, they're all hippie fucking types that all they do is want to smoke weed and have free love and free living and all this. It's not. We just want access to our medicine. It's end of story. There's a lot of people that smoke to get stoned.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people that don't understand what cannabis can actually do for you. I don't know many people that you see are fucking stuck on a couch eating rings around, get up with like fucking 20 packs of Tato and bars of chocolate and everything around them. I don't think I know a single person that does that.
All right, I'm going to put my hand up and say, like, if you leave me alone with a cup of tea and a packet of digestive biscuits, that packet.
They've gone, mate. I don't even drink tea, but if you leave a cup of tea and a pack of digestives, mate, that's fucking gone, mate.
That's gone.
I don't know. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. Sometimes. Maybe I'm just a weirdo. I don't get fucking munchies at all.
I've eaten an entire 16-inch pizza before. I will say that, but not very often. That was painful. That was very painful.
No, I'd come back. No, I'd come back from the pub with the lads, and we'd all have a skinful of drink, and most of us would be smoking spliff as well.
Mm.
And fucking they would come back. Actually, yeah, they would have fucking maybe 5 or 6 bars of chocolate. And I'd be sitting there looking at them all going, use their pigs.
You know, that's true. When I used to go out in college drinking after the bar, we would, hot dog stand out front. Definitely, we'd buy 3 each and hammer everything on it and just pound those back. But on a normal day, never. And when I smoke weed, I will not even go down that street because, I know it's in a hot dog. And I'm not.
I don't know. I don't really get cravings. Coca-Cola. That's my thing. I drink like fucking 8 to 12 cans of Coke a day.
Yeah, it just mightn't be your thing. So it seems like you're not kind of like I'm a foodie anyway. Like I just kind of love my food. Like I don't know when to stop. Like a while ago there was spaghetti there now, and I almost fell into a food coma, guys. I'm not going to lie. I didn't make it.
It's different when it's good, man. Because I don't know. One of my favorite quotes is "Hunger is the best sauce," and regardless, because when you're hungry and you just have some good food, like. It doesn't matter if you're stoned or not. You're gonna eat that whole fucking dish because it's just delish. But but with the Doritos and the shit like that, then that's hit or miss for me.
I don't know. I'm just the plainest of Janes. I don't like any flavor, like really strong flavorful food. I like just kind of me meat and me potatoes. And you peas and carrots.
Some funky stuff coming out of the States, actually, man. You get some awful treats over there, like
awful treats, as in
just so bad.
Like that KFC burger that has 2 chickens for the buns and bacon
what about
in the center, whatever.
Well, what about we got Thanksgiving coming up? What about the turducken? A turkey stuffed with a chicken, stuffed with a duck, 3 in 1. Oh yeah, man, that's a big thing around here. Yeah, you order your turducken. That's right. They debone all 3 of them and they wrap them up together, and you can get it with different kind of vegetables and how spicy you want it. So you just cook the one thing. Actually, it's not bad. It's quite interesting. I do like it. I haven't had it in a couple of years.
But it's ridiculous.
I mean, we do have some strange foods down here in the South, though, kind of weird stuff. But we don't think it's weird. I mean, around here,
as long as it tastes good.
We eat the heck out of swamp crawfish down here. I mean, like crazy. And most of the world goes like, "You eat those things?" Oh, heck yeah, we eat those things. By the ton, literally by the ton.
Oh yeah,
good eating. There's nothing wrong with that at all. I think it's something that you were mentioning a while ago, Green Bear, that that everything is out there that we need, like to be given to us by the earth. I think it's something. If we were just doing that, eating a bit closer to home, like maybe our bodies wouldn't be as out of whack as our society. Sorry, wouldn't be as out of whack as what it currently is. I'm not even going to get into it. I was just about to bring up the fishing fucking shit that's going on here at the moment, because there's fucking boats off the coast of our country coming from like Japan and shit. Like you're like, what the hell? Like, you know what I mean? But look, let's not even get into that stuff. Like,
I could get into that too, but yeah, no.
I feel your pain. Yeah,
it's just so backwards. The way we're doing things, like really fucking backwards. So, Monkey, what is the punishment for growing where you are?
You know what? I'm not exactly sure, but I know it's pretty damn serious. I haven't actually looked it up, but I do know that there would be jail time involved, probably. I'm not exactly sure. Yeah, I mean, you would get a suspended sentence, or some kind of a probation situation like that, depending upon the circumstance. And it is getting to be a little bit more accepted. But no, down here in the South, they still don't think Martin is still afraid that I'm gonna have this flower and sell it to people, and they're gonna smoke it and enjoy it. My gosh, man, imagine that. And somebody might actually enjoy my cannabis.
Oh, imagine that.
It's the worst insult a grower could ever hear, though. But no, I don't know what the penalty is. I guess I really should look that up. But
yeah, maybe it's best not, I suppose. Just stay in the dark. I can just tell them you didn't even know it was illegal.
That's pretty well. Yeah, how do they say it on South Park, Mr. Contaminis? I did not. I misinterpreted the rules.
Yeah.
We'll go with that for the time being, at least, though. But then the wife only gets nervous if she looks in the cupboard. I said, "Baby, just don't look in there." I said, don't look.
Yeah.
I say the same thing.
Yeah. Because I mean, you have to do that because you grow cycles, and you have to have a stock so that you can make it to your next harvest. And when you first look in right after a harvest, the cupboard kind of looks like it's bulging. And so when she looks in there and sees that, she goes, "Oh my gosh, what are we going to do?" I said, "You're going to just walk away. Just walk away, honey. That's all you need to do. Walk away."
Do you have a carbon filter and whatnot on that, like, or is it contained at all?
Oh no, I mean the cupboard in the back, it's all everything's in seal Kilner's jars and glass.
Oh, but in your grow, did you use a carbon?
The tents and all are full carbon filters and stuff like that. Matter of fact, I over carbon filter. I mean, I'm well known. I'm a outside the closet guy that'll tell you that I overpower and over filter everything. So yeah, I use twice as much filter and twice as much extraction on the tent, but I don't want any smell. No smell.
Yeah, good call.
And my wife's one of those, bionic nose people that she always tells me if it's like, oh, something's a little off.
Yeah, I have one of those as well, and it's kind of she can smell it a mile away if I was having a hit. Like,
you know how it is with us growers, we do get nose blind to it, and for a lot of times I won't smell things.
Yeah, my neighbors haven't complained once though. Like, I've been where we're living out at the moment for the last couple of years, and haven't once got a complaint off from either side. They compliment my chickens and whatnot, like, and they say nothing. I've been out there with my bong in hand talking to them, like, and they just don't even bring it up. I think they don't even, I don't know, like, I'd say they know. I hung a t-shirt out one time, like a load of weed leaves all over it, and I think like the following week one of the neighbors was kind of saying it, like, she was like, "Sure, you could be growing that marijuana up in the attic, and sure, we wouldn't even know. We wouldn't even be bothered." I wish I could grow again.
People that think that this stuff is like a deadly weapon. You say you're walking out in the yard with a bong and people aren't even looking at you. Well, that's the way it should be. I mean, this stuff is not deadly or dangerous or anything like that. It's not going to hurt anybody.
I've taken people in my backyard, and I usually have outdoor cannabis growing in the summertime, as one in Canada should. So, but yeah, people walk right by it, and they don't even notice it because they're not really that familiar with the cannabis plant as a plant goes, right? I mean, if you're not looking for it, then yeah.
Will an outdoor plant count as one of your plants was grown in the house too? Is that 1 year 4 or 6?
Yeah, well, actually, there's kind of a gray, not really a gray area. The way I was told was, as a medical patient, I can grow my allotted 15 in my medical space as designated. It has to be separate, basically, and you have to be able to show that it's separate, even though, like, what the hell, right? But yeah, the 4 plants that I would have outdoor would technically be my rec plants, and then my other plants that I have anywhere else in the house are my medical plants. But it's really stupid that I have to make that distinction. But yeah.
Yeah, it's just backwards. It's just their way of keeping tabs and everything, I'd say, is it?
Really?
Well, that's it. The likes of this, the Canna card that's coming into the UK, that seems like a good idea, but do you really want to give all your information to a thing that's only a trial?
Yeah, it's a weird one, isn't it? Like, you don't have to do it for any other kind of medication. Get a card.
Honestly,
I seen the Outlaw dude is launching his own card, or has launched his own card. Kind of anybody can apply for it, and he'll send you a card.
I love it. Auto apply for a card just for a souvenir.
Yeah. The model of that, though, is identical to well, in Canada, we've had kind of 3 iterations of the medical system. From 2001 to 2013, there was the MMAR, which was very restricted, and you had to really kind of either know a guy or really be sick to get your license. And then when they changed it to the MMPR in 2014, they took away everybody's right to grow. So prior to that, you could do one of 3 choices. You could buy from the government, you could produce yourself, or you could designate someone else to grow. In 2014, they eliminated all of that, and essentially is exactly from 2013 until 2017, when there was a Supreme Court challenge to the right to grow because it was unconstitutional to prohibit people from growing their own and only to force them from buying from these overpriced and under quality companies. Yeah, it was exactly like the Canna card. I got every order I would make from the legal medical companies, I would get this little identification card that I was supposed to be able to show to the police if they pulled me over, and then that would prove to them that I'm medical, right? But I couldn't grow my own. I couldn't buy from anywhere else, and effectively I had to have it in the packaging that it came in. Like if it was black market stuff, it's hard to prove when it's out of the package. You can't prove.
That was another big issue that got kicked off about legal cannabis in Canada. Was the packaging was ridiculous. They were like, oh, it's a still badge, yeah. Oh, for
yeah, it's never environmentally friendly, man. They put way too much plastic on all that stuff.
Yeah.
Jeez.
We've been using Ziploc bags for years, right? And they're just like, we got a better idea. Let's
yeah. Let's put your plastic vial inside of another plastic vial, inside of a steel Mylar bag, inside of a Ziploc bag, and then we'll sell you that.
It's the child-proof thing, and it's the regulation. And it's easy. I do believe it's easier to deregulate than to upregulate. But at the same time, it's definitely overkill. And I see so much garbage around now, like vape pens with batteries in them and stuff like that. It's terrible.
Tell me this: in Canada, do you have twist top beer bottles, like just easy to stop? Yeah.
Yep.
But yet, why the problem with cannabis then? Like,
yeah, that's a good point.
There, really.
Yeah, really. Interesting. I never thought about that actually.
Yeah, it makes no sense.
Or any alcohol bottle, really, a vodka bottle or a wine bottle is just click, 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 and then.
Yeah, that's it. Even the cans, like that. That's sure you open a can of soda, it's the same thing. Like, it's like,
it's the same thing in advertising. You see the beer commercials that everybody's surfing and snowboarding and having an awesome time. Really, it's obviously appealing to a pretty, young
demographic.
Exactly, but cannabis, you can't have like they're not even allowed to advertise anything at all.
And do you know what? I kind of support that, but I think if you're doing it to one drug, you have to do it to all of them. I
agree. Definitely
not advertise alcohol anymore. I hate it. Like you're going to the bus stop and it's like fucking Jack Daniels, it's Beamish, it's it's everywhere here in
Ireland.
It's
huge.
It's ridiculous.
Yep. Yeah. Everybody knows what they drink.
I'd hate to see that. For cannabis, like I would love, to be honest, to see a big billboard, obviously, just because it symbolizes change. But to be honest, it's not the change I would want to see. I don't want to see cannabis in your face everywhere you go, with every billboard about consumption and some false image of a person enjoying themselves, and it's just very misleading.
They're afraid to free people because you look at everybody, you don't know what's in your prescription pain medicines or things. You don't know what the stuff is doing to you. So you could say it's a conspiracy type thing where they're trying to keep everybody in the one mindset. When you smoke cannabis, your mindset is broadened. You see more issues with things that you wouldn't have seen before, because you see it's an injustice to somebody else. And because we have been the injustice for so long, it makes you more sympathetic. Is it maybe?
Yeah.
Sympathetic, and maybe,
It makes you more understanding, a lot more understanding. You can see the sides of, if two people are having an argument, you can see both people's valid reasons, and you can kind of make a decision and go, yeah, well, no, I think you're right. No, I think you're right. Yeah. But you can make that decision on yourself. You don't have to let somebody else have that argument.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that.
I don't know if that makes sense. Sorry.
No, you're spot on, and I think you look at some of the other things that have been banned alongside the cannabis. Then the other, the psilocybin, the all of these ones. One second, I close my door here because my dog is jumping around, and I can.
Oh, don't worry, I stepped on mine a second ago when I went out to grab a drink.
We've a load of bubble wrap in there on the floor, and the dogs are lying on top of it, and just like, oh, for fuck's sake. And the wind blew the door open. But yeah, sorry, what were we saying?
And I've just fucking found this epic shit up on YouTube, right? Because you know how it's important to transcribe your podcasts and shit. for the Google SEO. YouTube does automatic transcript for the subtitles, and I can download all the fucking text and everything that's been said on the podcast from there.
Nice. Does it give you timestamps with it actually? I didn't ever look at that.
I think you can get that as well, yeah.
This is just voice recognition technology or whatever.
Yeah,
right?
it's a bit shit. Don't put capital letters in and things.
Yeah.
It's not so bad. It's better than typing out yourself.
I was blown away by it the last time it was able to translate my voice kind of well, especially when I was ranting there with some of the 420 news.
It's crazy technology, man.
Really, it's got to deal with all our accents, different countries, different types of speech, everything.
Yeah. Yeah, you got to make sure you don't curse in the first 5 minutes or they pick it up.
Is that one of the rules?
Well, it's been hinted anyway that
I've got a lot of brackets here where they blocked out swear words in a lot of places. Lots of places.
I was going to say because
the GB was speaking at that point. Yeah.
Yeah, I come out with some outlandish statements. We won't.
Let's try not swearing next week. See what happens.
Yeah, that's never ever gonna happen.
Yeah, right.
Well, it's only
fun
the
to
first
watch.
5 minutes. After 5 minutes, then apparently it doesn't really check the algorithm as much. Then it's only to do with like being featured in the YouTube thing. But anyhow.
It's pretty cool how it does that.
Nike loves his new toys.
Yeah, I'm not going to do it though. I've copy and pasted the text over and it's 29 fucking pages. And you kiss my ass if I made it in 29 pages of shit every week.
Hey, well, what were we saying, Sari?
I can't remember really.
Either can I.
I was talking about psilocybin and
different drugs.
Yeah, we were actually
about
mushrooms.
Yeah, you know what Green Bear was saying. Like,
sorry, just jump in there and change the subject. Sorry.
But yeah, I think a lot of these very useful drugs have been, drugs in inverted quotes, like that, because that's what they call them, but they're plant medicines, really. Cannabis is its own thing. These psilocybin mushrooms are their own thing. You know, you've other kind of compounds out there, the ibogaine, the ayahuasca, these other kind of things. That there's really useful things there, and they're out in the outskirts. They're seen as this other thing, like almost taboo and other, you know, and meanwhile it's not taboo to be giving kids fucking antipsychotic drugs there at just a stroke of a pen. Like I see it now at the moment that I think it's 800% increase now over the last 10 years in Ireland.
I was just going to say that, Martin. It's why is it so dangerous to let a mid-30s man grow cannabis to treat his arthritis, but it's okay to give a child speed, essentially
speed.
You know, it boggles the mind.
Yeah, it's on par with cocaine. Like that.
Yeah.
Actually, in some parts of the brain, some of these drugs can be even more damaging than cocaine. In terms of the way it just kind of changes the things, especially because how young the kids are that are getting exposed to it too.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
You look at autism. The autism spectrum is huge, massive, and especially in the last 10 years, as you said, because that's when people have really looking into autism and stuff.
Yeah,
cannabis can help autistic children 10 times better than some of the medications that they put the poor kids on, you know, and these kids are like fucking zombies going around, and some of them are like lunatics because of the medication they're on.
There you go. Yeah, and we're quick to give them that one, but it would be completely taboo to recommend maybe a 1% and a 10% THC to CBD, you know, like start them low and slow, like, and work them up, like, you know, do it professionally.
Do it properly, exactly. It's the very same as what we done with people that suffered with mental health and things back in the day. They locked them up so that people didn't see them. Now they're filling them with fucking prescription drugs and they're making themselves richer and their friends richer. That's all they're doing. Where it could be, you could treat you can cure somebody's cancer. Well, no, I'm not going to go down that road because it's not 100% proven for all cancers.
No, but I think that the first word you said you could. I think like it's not that you can. It's not that everybody's cancer can be cured. But look, if you have a certain type of cancer, there's a lot of evidence to say like that a very well procured cannabis oil could help fucking rid your body of that, like along with a good regimen of sleeping well, eating well, exercise, looking after yourself in general.
We can use even our friend Kenny in that case. You can look at him. He's not taking any prescription drugs. He's taking prescribed medicinal cannabis, and his tumor is shrinking. He has longer on this God's green earth because of God's green plant. I'm not a religious man, but I just use God because in Ireland we use the church in a lot of sayings. But you know what I mean? It does wonders.
It absolutely, man. And it shouldn't be thought of as a last line of defense either. You hear about, if you have AIDS or stage 4 terminal cancer, okay, now we'll give you the cannabis, or now we'll give you the LSD or the end of life psilocybin treatment. But like, why shouldn't that be a first, or at least sorry.
Hello.
Or at least in conjunction, with some traditional quote unquote Western first pass treatments, like you said, in conjunction with those other things, because to leave it as a last resort, it almost discredits the efficacy, I think, because it's a lot of work to come back after you've tried chemo, after you've tried radiation, after you basically destroyed your body. And if that doesn't work, now you're trying cannabis and expecting it to work. Like, you gotta.
You're in Canada, where they've access in certain places in Canada to psilocybin therapies now, don't they? Or,
We had our
Woods are.
It was just recently the first legal end of life treatment for, I think there were 4 terminally ill patients with various diseases. One of them was actually here in my hometown that got treated, and there was 0 detrimental effects. Everything seemed to go really well for everybody that was involved. And
I think the aim there is just helping give these people a better grasp of the mortality that they're being handed. I suppose it's not a easy pill to swallow that you're going to kick the bucket, I suppose, in a short period of time. It seems like that the psilocybin gives them better acceptance and gives them just a better quality of life as they remain afterwards. I think the science of psilocybin was another kind of, I think it was John Hopkins, but had a Canadian element as well to it, if I remember right. But I think there's a lot of changes happening now, both in Canada and America. Now, I was speaking there to a girl in Oregon, Leanne Nolan, yoga kind of practitioner. But she's an Oregon, another Irish girl actually. But they've decriminalized everything there now. So the psilocybin therapy is also starting up there as well.
So that's huge.
We're going to see changes big time. I think the world is going to be a massively different place in 5 years' time, and I'm obviously overly optimistic that it's going to be very positive changes.
It's easy for us to fall into an echo chamber and think that everybody's for it because we associate ourselves with cannabis users every day.
I have heard it for the past 25 years that it is going to be different in 5 years.
Yeah,
there's going to be change in 5 years.
Always 5 years. Always 5 years.
No, the only way I can ever see it changing on our little island is when it changes in the UK. Because as long as it changes in the UK and the north of Ireland is still a member of the United Kingdom, we are going to have legally prescribed cannabis that is going to be accessible over supposedly an invisible border. Does not compute.
So one of those Trump walls, man.
So as soon as it happens, and I say literally, that is all that they're waiting for, because they'll have to turn around, and it's not going to affect Fianna Fáil or Fine Gael's core support, which are, let's face it, the Blue Rinse Brigade. It is the seniors and the core people that are in business, politics, and education, and that, because why all of they get a lot of funding from the state, and they're friends with people that are they've gone to college with people that have become ministers or TDs or councillors. It's all just party politics. Anyway, we won't go into that again. Sorry, where were we?
Would you ever run for government, Greenberg?
I would, yeah. I would, yeah. Straight away. But then
do it. Do it now.
I'll vote for you.
I would like to probably try set up, if it was at all possible, to try set up a pro-cannabis political party and take part in that. If not, Sinn Féin would probably be my name. I will not lie. I was a true blue Fine Gael supporter from the very first time I voted when I was 18.
Yeah.
All the way up until the last election.
Only until the last one.
Up to the last election. That's a long time voting. I have always voted Fine Gael. I thought they have always done a good job in trying to recover the country after Fianna Fáil fucked it up.
Yeah.
Because Fianna Fáil always fuck it up. They're the ones that fuck it up when it has been brought back up to a really good point, and then they get into power and say, oh, we make it better because they borrow a load of money, or they I'm not going to go into it. They made a fucking hames of it the last time and screwed the
fuck it up really, like
screwed the country up completely, and Fine Gael made very hard decisions, and they were decisions that Fianna Fáil wouldn't make, and they done it. You know, they got the country back into a good, reasonable position, and now they're after going into power with the people that ruin it and fix it, and it just doesn't make sense. And they have the Green Party propping them up, and that's just because the Green Party would never be able to get into power at all, because there's only a handful of them ever get fucking voted in.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I would Sinn Féin. Sinn Féin is who I would go now. I think they have. I don't agree with all their policies, and all their maths don't add up. To be quite honest,
they're not too big as supporters on the cannabis front either, though. They're not.
You know, but I can't see them making a fucking. I can't see them making a worse job.
Yeah,
to be honest.
If I was running, and I was tempted to join them, and I'm exposing myself here now, but I was going to join them and try to get it from within to get them to support the cannabis legalization thing, run for them. But if they don't support it while I'm running for them, just leave them and get the publicity of walking away from them or something, you know, because they were at the time they were looking for a second person to be running. And like, if they had a second person, if I ran Sinn Féin in the last election,
you would have got it.
I possibly would have got it in my area. They finished very strong in my area. If they ran a second person, like if I went forward, I don't know, would they have accepted my nomination for it to go do it? Like, but yeah, they're not pro cannabis, so I just couldn't join them before. But maybe going forward, I might see what will happen. Yeah.
Well, that's if they change their stance. You know, none of the parties, in fairness, in our country have any stance on cannabis.
No.
All their stance is, yeah, you're not having it. End of story.
Well, the Green Party have in their policy, whatever, but look, they want.
Okay, the Greens, come on, are they ever going to get anything?
Oh, you know? No, nothing. But even with their deal making with Fine Gael, Fianna Fáil, it was ruled out of question. Like the two boys were like, no, we're not legalizing cannabis.
Point blank, exactly.
Greens were like, oh yeah, no bother, we're not too big on it anyway ourselves. It was just more popular thing to say that they're pro cannabis because they knew they got them a lot of the young voters, but they actually have no interest in following through on it. Because if they did, they would be much more engaged with the community from a long time ago.
Oh, well, they would. Will you look at the community? Our community is so fractured as well.
Yeah.
You know, we need proper leadership in the community, and I don't think I've seen proper leadership anywhere. Anywhere. You know, there's no countrywide group. Normal is meant to be. I couldn't tell you the last time I heard anything come from the Normal Ireland chapter.
Yeah.
Yep, couldn't tell you the last time.
There has been very little. I think there's something coming on the lines of patients group that's to be announced there soon. That's going to unify all of the patients. But for the cannabis kind of community itself, there's been a lot of pages set up over the years. There's cannabis legalization, like this, that, Ireland, all over the place. But there's actually no like real network of people working together. It's and that's what I am trying to do in there now. Soon will be set up a hub where we can actually get people in together. You know, like I'm taking a lot of inspiration from your own community, actually, from the gay community, because I thought that's something that you done very well, was like the cafes, where you would bring the community together. You would like have teas and coffees, whatever, that supported renting a premises. Then those premises were used for information evenings, you know, for organizing yourselves for protests. And for a lot of other kind of activities there, you know, getting in speakers and things like that. So I think we can take a leaf out of that book, you know, because you've gotten a fucking long way.
Well, Jesus, every in our little place, every other referendum that has kind of followed the same principle as it. Like we would never have had the right to have an abortion in this country if we hadn't had the right for same-sex marriage. Never would have happened. It wouldn't have given people the braveness, the thing to go out and do it.
Yeah, there you go.
It's what we need now.
What got it done was a united community in both of those regards. The community was united in doing, like, getting the message and delivering it, like, and you know, not just online, but they were out there engaging with the policymakers and what have you. Like, and the important thing was the policymakers were engaging back, because they seen that the network was there, and that if they were going to ignore them and weren't going to engage with them, there was going to be umbrage, basically.
Yeah.
That's the message we need to send.
My thing, I reckon, if you can get the mothers, get mothers on board in Ireland, this is specifically Ireland thing. If you can get mammies on board, it is gonna happen.
But the worry there, like, you get the mothers on board, but like, what kind of mothers are you looking for then? Are you looking for cannabis using mums, or
if you get a mothers that can see to change a mother's, sorry, if you change Irish mothers' opinions, I'm a cannabis user my entire life, basically, for the vast majority of it. My mother only found out recently I smoke, and she still looks at me and go, I can't believe you're smoking that hash. I don't smoke hash. I smoke just pure flower. Yeah, and it's the best flower that you can get, woman.
Lovely hash.
But she thinks she's thinking of hash of, like, back in the, do you remember the 9 bars and the soap bars, that fucking shitty stuff that had plastic and everything, and fucking rat poison and shit?
I enjoy that. Don't diss it.
But that's what my mother's concept of someone that smokes is the complete opposite to what somebody actually is. You know, and she doesn't seem to understand that. She thinks that you're only a waster if you smoke weed.
That's that old kind of outdated.
That's that old outdated thing. I'm trying to. I've changed my dad's view. My dad was staunchly against it. He's against any like other drug and everything else. But yeah, he could drink like a fish if he wanted to. And nobody could say that.
I think this is why we kind of need to stand up for ourselves, because it's so easy for us to be dismissed as being just that, as you say, like lazy, do nothing stoners, like, whereas we're actually quite productive members in society.
We are, but we all have our families to think of. We have our children to think of.
We have to also think, though, like, let's say even myself, like I have 2 kids, and like I have a family and all of that, but I've kind of went through the experience of where, like, you get locked up and everything for this, like 5 days in Cork prison. It's ridiculous. But like, it's not just about me consuming cannabis. Like, we talk about all of these kids now being given these prescription drugs. You know, you look at all of these other kids like Ava Barry, you know, Ava Toomey, Ava Barry. Geez, I get mixed up there in the surnames. But yeah, like the sick kids out there, like who need the cannabis medicines. Like people can belittle it to, oh, you're just a do good, no good donor, but no, actually. We're fighting for something that's actually much bigger than that. It's not just my ability. Like you see, I've had 2 bong hits there now. Like I could like smoke weed and all of that. That's fine. I could just close the laptop, go away, play PlayStation, whatever. Like it's not just about the smoking cannabis. It's much bigger than that. Like for one, I don't want to be targeted and be locked up and put into prison. But 2, I want to see cannabis researched, and I want to see it in the hands of professionals, not criminals. And I want to see patients like getting better access to care. Where in Ireland, like it is back of the medicine cabinet for the health professionals for the 3 conditions that they allow it for.
I'd like to see them do some studies and research on what the actual benefits of it is and not what the negatives are, because that's all you ever hear is research done on what the negative consequences. I'm sorry to say there is going to be some people that it will not agree with. There's people that drink whiskey and go off the wall. There's people that can drink whiskey and can sit down and have a perfect conversation and not have a problem with you. If you smoke cannabis and if it doesn't agree with you, you don't smoke it again. It's a simple thing. But why victimize an entire population of people for the 4 or 5 people that might have a psychotic episode because they've smoked cannabis and they've God knows what else is wrong with that person and what other medications are that person is on, but just because he smoked cannabis or she smoked cannabis, the cannabis is doing it for her. The cannabis is doing it. That is what is making that person mad. We cannot let the people have this.
That's it. You said it there that the cannabis might cause this kind of harm. But you know, if you criminalize a person, that you undoubtedly will cause harm to a person. Like
exactly. Yeah.
It's so silly that we criminalize people just because what they do might cause harm.
What they might do. You know, if we go on that line of thought, why don't they criminalize mountain climbing? How many people die every year mountain climbing, and yet
I'll give you
they're allowed to?
Than that, TJ. Why don't we go ahead and criminalize peanuts? How many kids die of peanut allergy?
Yeah. Potatoes, they're nightshade. Those little berries that grow if you let them go too long. Poisonous as fuck.
I get it, Martin. Yeah, we take it too far, don't we, man?
Slippery slope. But why cannabis specifically? And
really, why that?
It really makes it like I wish I had some tinfoil around just to put on and we could go down that road. Like, is there society gearing up to keep us kind of sick? Like, because they, as I said, they keep some really powerful
keep some rich
for us. Keep some rich.
Well, if you teach a man to fish, you know, why would they come buy your fish anymore, right?
Taking our fishing rods off us.
Exactly.
Well, that's exactly it. Like, you look. Mankind has been on this planet for over 300,000 years, and we survived 300,000 years without all of the fucking Panadols, Nurofens, all the Pfizers that I don't know.
But a lot less of us survived.
It's a lot less, but you could use
to 35.
you can use the thing that if we had continued on and hadn't found modern medicine and hadn't the population exploded, the planet would be in a much better position.
Well, abuse modern medicine. Lots of modern medicine does come from plants to begin with, right? It's just
modified into
changed and isolated.
Over 70% of our modern medicine comes from that.
You'd be definitely the guy, for sure.
And it's ridiculous, like, and it all comes from like traditional knowledge. Then, we done a module actually in college. It was on ethnobotanicals, and it was all around what's that word about ethos? No, not ethos. Ethics. It was all about ethics within the plant world. And if you're a pharmaceutical company and you go to a jungle and you witness a person within a tribe, say in the jungle, using a plant to look after a certain condition,
And you then take that knowledge, you go back to the lab, and you synthesize a medicine from that knowledge that you obtained from just viewing them. Do you pay homage then to that person? Like, and a lot of the times they actually don't. They just go in and not only rape them and the land and the rights and stuff, but they actually rape them of their knowledge. Like, and they make a lot of money afterwards. It's horrible.
On a smaller and but really poignant point, that's the Canadian cannabis industry. You know, they disregarded all of the legacy people that know how to do it, have been doing it for a long time, and that they've observed doing it by talking to them and by going on the forums and by hanging out with them. But then they get into the grow business and totally disregard all of those people because they have criminal records or they're dirty hippies, like, you know, old school black market growers that they don't want anything to deal with. Yeah. And beard wearing. And then they steal all the methodology and then they try and apply it though in the scale of the legal market and fail, which is nice to see kind of karmically, but it's the same thing, you know, robbing intellectual property and then trying to make money off of it when it's really almost antithesis to the plant to do what, you know, on mass growing in a pharmaceutical way. At least I think so. It doesn't really work, you know.
Yeah, no, I would agree with you there. Can I ask, actually, lads, do any of you have criminal records, or am I the only one for cannabis? If you've criminal records for other things, you don't have to disclose.
I'm a law-abiding citizen, other than my cannabis use.
I was stopped driving. I had literally fucking sparked the spliff up, and a cop on a bike drove by.
No.
And looked at the 3 cars in front of me, and then looked at me, and then pointed at me and went, "You pull in." Because I think there was a nun in one of the cars. You know,
disguise.
And then it was me. And like, it's not like I'm a fucking gouger looking thing. I'm quite respectable looking. It's just I was not the most respectable looking out of the.
It was you or the
cars. Yeah, you know, I think when you have kids and that in a car, kind of helps their purpose as well. But I got away with just a fine to the poor box on that.
Yeah, nice.
You know, thanks be to God. And the only reason how I did was because I lost my job, and I had I lost my job and everything because of it.
But you know, I made 9 donations to that charity box, and 8 of them I talked myself into. I got myself by just representing myself, or 7 of them at least.
But that's the thing, like they don't really care as much. It's just a money scam,
money racket.
That's all it is. It's like we have these lads, we have these big huge COVID checkpoints, right?
Oh, you just said that again.
Oh, yeah. Hang on.
How much juice I got left in my vape? Lots of juice.
It's like it's 1:20 in the morning now.
I know.
Put it a day soon. I'm tired. I am.
Yeah, I do have to say, on that topic, thank you very much for scheduling so late and waiting for me and shit. Because that's a new job and shit, so it's, you know.
Oh yeah, well you see this.
Do that. So
work comes first. This is a kind of a side piece for all of us that we just want to
of course, man.
share the love of cannabis, try to expand the knowledge of cannabis. I'm not the best at talking about it. The lads are way better at it than me. You know,
I do appreciate it though. Time zones suck.
I've really enjoyed the conversation, lads. It's been a pleasure. I don't get to do this enough just to hang out with other people. I wish
anytime, guys, man. You should give us we're in Zoom calls all the fucking time just chatting shit, bro. You just join, man. Yeah, this is the link to our room. So you know, anytime you just randomly click it, we might be there just chatting shit. Anytime.
He's on Mackey's side if he's only my answer. You never know.
Oh yeah, that's the job. Well, look, I suppose I think we've talked about everything I wanted to talk about. I got to ask me all the questions. One last question for you all, actually. Do you have a favorite strain or seed company? A strain or seed company? If you want to give me a favorite one each.
Dutch Passion is probably
I would say
Dutch
Passion.
Company.
Dutch is my favorite as well. I'd say.
Yeah.
I have to say, Sensi Seeds is probably what I would go with if I only had to pick one out of a billion.
Yeah,
I like my Sensi.
See if I have to choose one.
That's hard though, man. Like, I know a Super Sativa Seed Club has a 35-year-old fucking old school haze that I'm super interested in, which I will also say is my strain of choice, the haze, pure haze, of course.
Mm-hmm.
But,
TG's made it has a couple of strains in his back pocket.
Oh yeah,
they're only his own kind of private ones as such, but
they're a pollen chucker style strain. They're not any sort of planned breeding or anything like this. But yeah, it was a Blueberry OG crossed with a Romulan Kush, and it actually turned out. I actually have it in my vaporizer right now. Very nice.
I've done a few natural, like seeds from natural seeds before. I had the male and female, chucked the male, but I was always tempted actually to store some of the pollen, to do a bit of the pollination and mess around a little bit with the breeding. I would have loved to have done it, but I never did because I never wanted to sacrifice the bud.
Yeah, it is.
All that, yeah.
Oh, talking about sacrificing the bud, I have enough for probably fucking 3 spliffs.
Lame.
Very lame, man. And my own fucking cure's not going to be ready for at least a week to smoke.
Lame.
Toaster weed.
I know.
I'm back on the illicit market again tomorrow, man.
Oh, lovely. Hitting up the Instagram plugs.
No. I have my own little ad stuff.
Good stuff.
I've been going to for years and years.
Happy days.
So, but yeah, no, it has been an absolute pleasure.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having us.
Absolutely. No, thanks, guys, for
listening to us chat
and for staying up so late, Greenbird and Mackie.
That's so good.
And to yourselves as well across the pond, lads. It's been an absolute pleasure. Guys, again, percysgrowroom.com and
High on Homegrown.
Homegrown podcast. That's on YouTube, and you're also on Instagram, isn't it?
We're on everything: iTunes, Spotify, Deezer, Stitcher. If there's a podcast network
Twitter
that we're not on, let us know and we'll get on it.
Not Pinterest. No Pinterest, right?
No. I think you are on Pinterest, man.
Are we on Pinterest?
Yeah, I think so.
We have
Sweet.
Pinterest.
I don't know what Pinterest is either, but
No, neither do I, but we've got an account because you need
I've seen pictures, and every time you click on something, it doesn't fucking let you go any further without having an account.
Because I look for food recipes by looking at images, and it never fucking gives me the recipe then.
There's a social network for everybody.
MySpace.
Percys Grow Room is the best one. Come join us.
That's ours.
Well, it is in Percys. We love having the banter, like what you get now. In it, we have a chat window. It's very unlike any other grow room. There's a couple of them are kind of copy and suit now, but we have a chat window as it's a full active chat 24/7. 9 times out of 10, there is always going to be a couple of people in there to. Even if you want to just pop in, have a chat. We don't solely just chat about cannabis or growing, we can chat about anything.
As you can tell.
Yeah, so it's just a good place. Yeah,
that's a video chat room as well, is it? Or
no,
we can't do video calls, but that's private between admin members and members because the anonymity and all that shit.
Yeah.
But you can do voice calls through chat.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
And it's a good place. And then we have like the diagnostic sections for the plants. Just you name it. There's everything that you need to know from A to Z in cannabis. You're gonna find it there, and you'll find it in a good, clean, easy format that you can read easy. There's pictures that help, and if you do need any help, you set a thread up. We do all separate diaries, so you can have cocoa diaries, hydro diaries. There's a diary for every type of growing that is out there. We have all different soil recipes. You name it. There's everything that you need to know about cannabis. And if you can't find it on the site, just ask in chat or put up a thread, and somebody will come to you.
And thanks very much again there to the High on Homegrown podcast panel for taking the time out to sit and chat with me there. It was a late night. We chatted into the late hours or the early hours of the morning there. It was about nearly 2 o'clock here by the time I was getting off that Zoom call. But I really enjoyed it, and those bong hits too every time we talked about COVID, which was quite a few times. So again, thanks very much to the High on Homegrown podcast panel, and guys, do make sure you check out their Percys Grow Room and their podcast, and give the guys a follow there as well on Instagram, Twitter and YouTube. So until next time, guys, this has been Martin Connon from Martin's World, and stay ablaze, guys. Keep her lit. Peace.